the calendar in the matter of Kehoe versus Rogers.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mrs. Kehoe, you rented a room to this young man who had, I gather, been thrown out of your house when he was 18. Is that a fair statement?
Correct.
And I assume that he was told to leave his parents' home because he wasn't behaving appropriately.
Correct.
What was the nature of his social transgression?
Just too much partying, problems in school.
Did he have problems with drinking?
Yes.
Did he have problems with drugs?
Pot, yes.
And you thought it could better be handled in somebody else's home?
I've had a wife and a daughter there also. It was just time for him to leave.
When did he leave your house?
3 days after his 18th birthday.
Which was when?
February 10th.
Of 2007. How did you find Mrs. Kehoe's house?
I went to school with her son, Blake Kehoe.
Did you party with him?
Yeah, quite frequently.
You drink?
I'm not Blake.
Who are you?
I'm Parker.
You're another son?
Yes.
How old are you?
16.
Where's your older brother?
Tom?
At home?
Yes.
Did he have problems with drugs or alcohol, Mrs. Kehoe?
I would say no, not to my knowledge.
Well, if he didn't have problems with drugs and alcohol, why in the world would you take in a boy who did have problems with drugs and alcohol?
Well, at the time I met Daniel, I didn't know that he had problems with drugs or alcohol.
Didn't it strike you as odd that he was asked to leave his own home when he was 18?
Actually, he had been living with someone else. It wasn't right directly after he came out. He had lived with someone else.
Yes or no? It doesn't make a difference whether he had an interim place that makes it even worse. So he was thrown out of his own house when he was 18. Then he went and lived someplace else. That didn't work out. What I want to know is, didn't it occur to you to call his father and say, what's with your 18-year-old?
Actually, at the time, no, because Daniel had made lots of comments about his father that were probably not the nicest of comments, so I didn't see any reason to...
And you believed him?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I did.
In any event, this is what your case is about, Ms. Kehoe. You want $5,000 because you say that this young man, while he was drunk, took a golf cart that belonged to you, crashed it, damaged it severely, was taken to a repair shop. The repairs were $4,000. This young man did, in fact, pay towards those repairs. How much?
$1,500.
And then he stopped paying. His father says, and he says, that you allowed alcohol to be served in your home. That's one of the reasons he was drunk when he got the golf cart, that you should have at least partial responsibility for serving alcohol or allowing alcohol to be served to minors who are living in your household, even if they are paying tenants. Mr. Rogers says you should be partially responsible yourself. What I don't understand, let's get to this part. What's your first name?
Daniel.
Let's say, Daniel, that you think Mrs. Kehoe should be partially responsible and that the cost to fix the golf cart was $4,000. Why did you only pay $1,500?
I was trying to pay it back. I kept on paying it back, but then they finished the repairs on the golf cart, and then they said that they wanted all the money right then and there. So I went and I applied for a credit card or whatever just to pay off the rest of the fee. It was like another $3,000 for the remaining balance. And so I didn't get approved right now the way the economy is, me being 19. And so they put a mechanic's lien on it and they sold it. So therefore...
They didn't sell it.
Well, that's what they told me, and they refused to accept payments.
They refused to accept any more money?
Yeah. My $100 payment a week, $400 a month. I only make $10 an hour, so...
And you were, in fact, paying?
Yeah, every week.
And it was your intention to pay the entire repair bill?
Yes, it was, originally.
Oh, well, so then I don't quite understand your answer. If it was your intention to continue to pay the other $3,000 because you felt responsible, correct?
Yeah, correct.
What changed your mind?
Well, they sold the golf cart. Well, they told me they were selling it, so I called Sherry and I asked her if I could pay her the $100 a week, just start over, and she refused, and then I got served. So that's what I'm doing here.
Oh, I see. Well, that changes the whole defense. You're ready to pay the money to get the golf cart.
Well, no, not necessarily anymore after going through all this.
But that's what you promised her.
Yeah,
Is that right,
originally.
Mr. Rogers? You told her you would pay for it.
Originally.
Yeah. Well, that was your agreement. And the only reason you didn't pay her is because you didn't get approved for a credit card.
Yeah, well, no, I called her and asked her if I could pay the $100 a week to her, $400 a month out of my check every week, and she refused.
Why did you refuse?
I could not pay the $100 to the golf cart company. They refused to take any more money except for a total amount. And I felt that if I was to accept the money from Daniel, I would not be able to get my golf cart back. So that's...
May I speak?
What do you have to do with this?
I was the one who came upon the golf cart. It was partially my golf cart.
It
That's
can't
what
be partially
I
your
drove
golf
around.
cart. A year ago, you were 15 years old.
That's what I drove around. We live in a gated community.
And?
And kids drive those around quite often. That's what they use, and I golf and stuff. When Randy and Daniel were the ones talking to the golf cart repair company, making all the payments, and they had agreed that they were going to make payments up until when the golf cart was done and finished. And then at that point, if the full amount had not been paid, that his dad would pay in full, and he would have Daniel pay him back.
So?
No, never agreed to that.
So? Who did the father make that agreement with?
He made that agreement with the owner of Prestige.
You can't tell me that. That person isn't here. That's hearsay.
Okay.
It's hearsay, but there's a statement. of
I don't
him.
read
All right.
statements.
Fine.
We're in a court.
Fine.
We're in a court. How much is owed on the golf cart?
The total to replace the golf cart right
I'm
now.
not replacing the golf cart. Did Daniel get beer in your house, Mrs. Keogh?
Not to my knowledge, ma'am. I did not hand Daniel ever
I didn't
any
ask
beer.
you whether you handed Daniel
I had
anything.
beer in my home in my refrigerator.
Okay. You say there's a vending machine, Daniel?
Yes.
So explain to me the vending machine.
There's a vending machine downstairs full of beer, 4 different 30-packs.
And what was the vending machine for, Miss Keogh?
It is an antique vending machine, ma'am.
Was
and
it full of beer?
Not full of beer. It had 2 beers, it had tons of sodas, and it had all kinds of snacks and candy.
It had beer in it.
Yes, it did.
All right. And who was the beer for?
My guests who come to my house, I live on a lake, and they come in through the bottom. And
But it was available, and it was clearly the beer that he drank and got drunk when he drove your golf cart.
That's not true. He wasn't in my house at all that day drinking. He was
Where
on a
were you
pontoon
drinking?
boat with somebody else.
Where were you
I
drinking?
was on a pontoon boat in the lake, yeah.
Where'd you get the beer from?
Well, I got some from the vending machine, and I had some that I just had obtained some with somebody that's
What does that mean? Are you giving me the business? Don't
No,
give
I'm
me
not
the
giving you the
business.
business.
I don't like stupid, and I don't like the business. Do you understand?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cheryl Kehoe says her son's former friend, Daniel Rogers, stole her golf cart and crashed it.
You were on a pontoon boat. Where did you get the beer from?
The vending machine.
I don't believe you.
No, I got it from the vending machine.
I don't believe
I
you.
did.
No, I don't believe you. Where's the other place you got the beer from?
I just had it.
What do you mean you just had it?
I don't really recall it that much. I was a little inebriated.
You got where I'm going.
Yeah.
Perfect. There's a mechanic's lien. There's a mechanic's lien.
There was
now?
a mechanic's lien.
What do you
put
mean
on.
there was?
I was told that there was a mechanic's lien being put on the golf cart. I didn't receive an actual piece of paper because Prestige said that since it's not a registered DMV vehicle.
Don't tell me what they said.
Okay, I'm sorry.
As far as I have in these papers, there's been no sale of this golf cart. And I'm not replacing a golf cart for you. Do
No.
you understand that?
No, I
That's
have.
not happening.
I have
The sale value that they will sell us the golf cart for right now is $4,840.
It's not happening. The remainder that's owed to fix the golf cart. To fix the golf cart is how much after he paid his $1,500?
I don't know because they start
28.
charging $15 a day storage fees.
Then you can contest that. And I suggest you do it. What I want to know is how much is left and owing on fixing the golf cart?
28, 48, 88.
28, 48, 88?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000.
Your Honor, I
That's
have
all.
something here that I'd like you to see. That's from Mr. Rogers. He said that he never said that he would pay for it. He has a signed
He is
card.
paying. He is going to pay for it, madam.
I'm just saying.
He is
Okay.
going to pay for it, $3,000.
But I
And
can't
in the
get my
event-
golf cart
and in
back
the
for
ev-
that.
I'm speaking.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
And in the event that Prestige Motorsport and Golf Cart declines to take this check, which will be made payable to them, not to you, which will be made payable to them, you have leave to come back to me. Do you understand?
Okay, so I take the check to them, and if they will not accept
And if
it, I
they
come
will
back.
not accept it, I would suggest to you that you get that in writing from them. If they decline to accept this from you, and then sue them for the return of your golf cart because they've been paid $4,500. I'll be delighted to hear the case. Do you understand?
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. That's all.
Thank you.
Are excused. You may step out.
They aren't being accountable for any of the injuries that he did get.
They stopped paying. They wouldn't pay the bulk amount of the fee.
There's a lot of shared responsibility in that, but they don't see it that way.
I didn't have the money to pay the bulk amount to get the golf cart out.
You know, they smoke pot there, they drink.
I think it's ridiculous what their accusations are.
It's not a good environment to have kids around.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Peterson and Peterson versus Larwell and Peterson. Step forward.
Cindy Peterson and her son Greg are suing Greg's brother, Randy Peterson, and his fiancée, 18-year-old Amanda Larwell, for damage to their home as the result of domestic violence.
Mrs. Peterson, This is one of your sons whose name is?
Greg.
And you and Greg live together.
Yes, we do.
And this is your other son?
Yes, it is.
Whose name is?
Randy.
And that's your girlfriend?
Fiance.
Fiance. According to your complaint, Mrs. Peterson, your son Randy and his girlfriend moved in with you when you found out that you were pregnant. And it is your claim that the two of them, because of constant arguing between them and also with your other son, with Greg, caused damage to the apartment.
It's a house, yes.
Right at the house. They both deny that they caused any damage, and Ms. Larwell is counterclaiming because she says that Greg, after the last argument, lost his temper and damaged her car by hitting it with his fists. That's your counterclaim.
Correct.
Who is this?
My mom.
Why didn't you move in with your mother?
I wasn't really living with my parents at the time.
Who were you living with?
I was living with friends.
How old are you?
18.
How long have you been living with friends?
For a few months, just after high school.
Why?
Because I wanted to be out on my own.
You wanted to be on your own to do what?
I just was ready to be independent.
You got dependent very quickly.
Accidents happen.
Tell me about the damage that they caused to the house. First, when did she move in?
Amanda moved in approximately January to February of 2008. Immediately after that, it was very tense, arguing. The day that we asked Amanda to leave the home, Randy opened a door in anger in leaving and put 2 holes in a wall. And also at the same time, when I was confronting them about it, I noticed a burn in the carpet in the room that they shared. I have an estimate from someone who was going to fix the property damage, but we ended up moving out before it was fixed.
When did you move out?
We moved out July 10th.
How much of a deposit did you leave the landlord?
A $1,200 deposit.
Did you give the landlord notice pursuant to the lease, 30 days notice that you were moving out?
No, we were actually in the middle of being evicted.
Evicted for what?
For non-payment of the rent for 1 month. We had the rent, but she would not accept it.
Ms. Peterson, I'm dismissing your claim for damage to the house. Fast, because right now you have no damage. Right now, you were in breach of your lease that had absolutely nothing to do with the alleged damage that they did. I don't even have to hear that part of their explanation of whether they caused damage or not. You were being evicted. You hadn't paid rent.
Your Honor, we were only 3 weeks. We were 2 weeks behind on
I don't
rent.
care. I don't care whether you're 2 weeks behind or 3 weeks behind. You were evicted. You were required to give 30 days notice. You didn't do it. They were going to withhold your security deposit anyway. You have a statement from the landlord?
No, we
Well,
cannot get a hold of her.
What do you want me to do? You think that I believe this baloney? You moved out. You lived off your security. You failed to give 30 days notice. Even if the landlord had been unsuccessful with regard to evicting you, you still have been responsible for 30 days notice. How much was your rent?
$1,160.
Your case is dismissed. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Nonsense.
Your Honor, we're still responsible for the damage. It's still
When the landlord comes and sues you for the damage, you can come back. How about that?
Okay.
Fine. Landlord's not coming after you. The landlord took your security deposit for many reasons. A, because you didn't pay your rent for the last month that you lived there. And B, maybe because of this damage. But it all amounts to the same thing. Nonsense. You want to take the money and put it in your own pocket. I'm not going to do that.
No.
Now, there was an argument on May 19th. What was the argument about?
Him getting a job to start supporting our family.
Who was the argument between?
Me and him.
Why weren't you working?
I just didn't choose to work at the time.
Because they let him be lazy. And I wanted him to start being responsible because he's going to be a father. And that's what the argument was about. And that's when they butt in.
You were arguing with him and shouting to him that he better get a job.
Just that he better...
More than one part of his anatomy has to work. Right? How old are you?
19.
When was the last time you worked?
Never.
Why not?
Didn't have to, I guess.
His mom didn't push him.
No, that's not his mother's fault. It's not his mother's fault. Comes to the point you have to stop blaming your mother. Okay, so now bad argument. They left the house.
We're trying to.
The allegation is, Greg, that you were very angry and you went outside and you punched her car.
Yes, I did, but not just that. It was the arguing that had been going on all day, yes.
I don't care about the arguing all day.
And then they went to leave. They were on their leaving, and he jumped out of the car, ran up to my mom's car, a borrowed car, kicked it, and then I kicked their car.
So he kicked the car, and in retaliation, you went and kicked his car. You have to fix his car. He may have to fix your mother's friend's car. I don't know about that. Mother's friend
Your
isn't
Honor,
here.
the police were called, and they said to settle that civilly.
That's what we're here for.
I have the police report.
This is civil court. That's what we're here for. I don't know what you're smiling about. You made lots of bad choices, Miss Larwell. What kind of car do you have?
A Kia Rio,
What year?
2005.
Where did you get it from?
It's my mother's.
It's your car. Did you buy it for her, or did you buy it and she...
No, it was my car, but when I was in another town being pregnant, I wanted her to have a way to get around, so I let her use it. And we have pictures of the damage.
And I have a police report in the estimate.
Just let me see the pictures of the damage and the estimate. He has to pay for kicking the car. You must have a very high kick.
He was trying to break the window, and
That's not from a kick. That's from a...
He punched it.
he was punching and kicking. He was on a rage.
Greg.
I was protecting my mother because my brother was after my mom's car. I thought he was, who knows what he could have
in
done
the
at that point in
car.
time.
You were protecting your mother?
And her
Where
property.
was your mother?
I was at the door. We have text messages on here where she has threatened us.
I don't care. Listen, your mother wasn't in the car, was she?
No, but she was standing next to it
So what did you punch the car for?
for them punching my mother's car.
Oh, you're an idiot.
We were
This is a
moving.
family that should think twice about having a lot of children. Listen! That's ridiculous. When did you get a job?
In July.
In July. Doing what?
Painting.
Painting what?
Houses.
And who are you living with now?
Me and her have a house together.
Wonderful. And you're working?
No, I'm due in 2 weeks.
Did you work 2 months ago?
No.
It's case number 383 on the calendar in the matter of Stockwell versus 50N. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Mr. Stockwell, it is your claim that the defendant, who was your girlfriend, owes you money that you loaned her for the down payment on a car.
Correct.
And this is the scenario that you allege. Don't fidget. Don't worry. I haven't even started on you yet. The two of you went looking for a car. She needed a car. She had a car that was hers, as far as you knew, that she was going to trade in and use as a down payment. She found a car that she liked. Hands out of your pocket.
Correct.
And the dealer was going to give her $2,000 as a trade-in for her car. You said to her, that's a ripoff. Your car's worth $4,000, right?
Correct.
So it is your claim that you said to her, listen, I'll give you the $4,000. Don't trade in your car. You go sell your car privately, you'll get a lot more for it, and when you sell your car, you'll give me back the money. That's your story.
Correct.
And you're sticking to it.
Correct.
Miss Fithian bought the car. She accepted your $4,000. And then she had one excuse after another for not selling the car that she had been driving. You subsequently found out, sir, that the car wasn't sold because it wasn't
Hers.
hers. That it belonged to her
Parents.
parents. And she couldn't sell it
Correct. Correct.
because it didn't belong to...
To her.
In addition, you say that as some demonstration of this debt, she gave you a check for $200 at some point, and the check bounced.
Actually, the $200 was cash that was given to me.
Cash.
She gave me a check for the balance, and that check actually bounced.
Do you have
twice.
that check?
No, but I do have the statement of the account that it was deposited into and then it being withdrawn afterwards. I don't have a copy of the voided check.
Why?
We were still together at the time, so I assumed it wasn't an issue at that
You
time.
were still together.
What?
Up
No,
there-
that was kind of the final straw, but
But you were together.
correct, yes.
And when she gave you the bounce check, you were together.
Correct.
Well, what did you say to her when she gave you the bounce check?
What the?
And what'd she say to you?
She came up with multiple excuses. She had said that the money was given to her by her grandmother, and her grandmother got sick, so she needed the money back. And long story short, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So now I got his story. Let's have yours.
Okay. I was looking to purchase a new vehicle. I'd given my parents' car back to them. It was going to be my brother's. My brother had just got his permit, and they had no other vehicle, so they asked for my Honda back. So I gave them back the Honda, and I was looking for a new car. Well, I was a first-time buyer, and I couldn't get anybody to co-sign. My parents wouldn't co-sign. They thought it was too big of a responsibility. Nobody would.
What kind of work were you doing?
I wasn't working at the time. I just got laid off.
Well, that was a good
She's
reason
lying.
for nobody co-signing for a car for you.
Yes, agreely,
Who
but
were you living with?
I was living with Ron, and I was told that...
Just a minute. So you were living with Ron? Mm-hmm. And your parents took the car back?
Correct.
Did you know that, Ron?
She's lying. The car
Of
was
course
hers.
she's lying.
The car was hers. She didn't give the car back to her parents until after the new vehicle was purchased.
Of course. Nobody gives up a car.
Well, I had to give up the car. The car was not in my name.
I understand that, but you didn't give it back to them until after you got your little tuchus in the new car. That's what I'm saying to you, madam. You get it? You know, little tuchus? That's your little behind. Till you put your behind in the new car, you didn't give your brother back the old car.
No, I had to give the brother back my old car. That would be grand theft auto if I would have kept the car.
Miss Fithian, listen carefully to what I just said to you. I said you didn't give one car back until you got your behind in the new car.
That's incorrect.
Yeah. On what date did you buy the new car?
It was November 26th, 2000.
And on what date did you give the car back to your parents for your brother?
It was sometime in August.
Just a second. November 26th, 2006, you bought the new car?
I believe it was, so.
That's right about right. I have the exact
And you
date.
gave back the car to your parents in August of 06, 3 months before.
Correct, yes.
3 months.
Correct.
Is that right, Mr. Stockwell?
No, the car was actually purchased on November 19th, and I would have to say she gave the car back to her parents somewhere around late January, early February.
Of 07?
Correct.
2 months later?
I would say probably a month to 2 months after she had the new car. In the beginning, we had the new car, and the old car had sat in the street for a while, just sitting there because I had intentions of selling the vehicle, obviously.
What's her father's name? What's your father's name?
Paul, and when I was with him for over a year, he should know that.
Paul what?
Paul Ignacio.
And the car is in his name?
Correct.
Give me his telephone number.
2243.
And your brother's name?
My brother's name is Sean.
His number?
It's 8605.
And what kind of car was this, by the way?
The one that was purchased?
A 1998 Honda Civic.
Great. Why don't you have a seat? Is this Sean? Sean, this is Judge Judy Sheindlin. How are you this afternoon? Good. I need your help with regard to some dates. Your sister is here, and I'm trying a case involving the 1998 Honda Civic. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Can you tell me when you took possession of that car? All right. We're back together again, Sean. When did you take possession of the car? Okay. And where had the car been before August of 07? Who was driving it? For how long before you got the car? So you haven't driven the car. Thank you. Goodbye, Sean. Goodbye. Well, Miss Fithian, there is no question that your parents did not need this car back immediately for your brother. He doesn't even drive this car much, he said, because it's a stick shift. Maybe he took possession of the car in August of 07, maybe, but he doesn't drive it much. Your parents sometimes use it when they need gas money. I don't know what he was talking about. But that story that you just gave me, that they needed it back for your brother, it was a whole lot of who shot John.
Excuse me, Your Honor, but it was not a story, second of all.
It was a big story, unless you're telling me that your brother's a liar.
Excuse me, but my brother is only 16 years old. He is not even credible for this.
No, you're not credible. Your brother, who didn't know how to lie, was a little bit credible, even though he was trying to cover his tracks. He even disconnected me once on his cell phone. But I have children and grandchildren. I know all about the disconnecting. I can't hear you routine. So, the story that you just gave me was a lot of baloney. Now, who was supporting her when you were together?
That would be me, Your Honor.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Stockwell?
Self-employed. I do metal distribution.
Do you make a living?
An okay one, yes.
And what about her?
What do you mean, what about
Does she
her?
work?
At the time, actually, when we purchased the vehicle, she worked.
What was she working at?
I don't know, selling motorcycle accessories. She had led me to believe that she was doing really well and she would be being promoted, and everything was great, so she needed
Did she
this
give you
new
any
car.
money towards the expenses of running your home?
In the very beginning, there had been times that she had given me a couple hundred here and there, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm obviously
No, I'm
more
just
worried.
asking you. I'm just trying to explain to you, sir, how very, very fortunate you are. Lesson maybe cost you a couple of bucks, but look what a good lesson you learned early on, right? And look how you didn't get hooked. You didn't have a kid with her or anything, did you?
No, I didn't.
So, who's got the car now?
Toyota.
Toyota?
Correct.
How did Toyota get the car?
It was repossessed.
Why?
Because I wasn't working at the time. He had me staying home taking care of his 2 kids from 2 different mothers and cleaning his house, cooking him dinner. So I wasn't working, and I couldn't make the $575 payments a month.
You have custody of your children?
Every other weekend.
You have every other weekend with your
Correct.
children?
Yeah.
So what were you
You know,
doing?
there'd be times where I would have to go pick them up for things. And when I would watch them and pick them up, he'd be at the bar drinking, shows to his felony DUI with bodily injury for $40,000 that he has.
Why didn't you have a job?
He told me not to work. He had me not
No way
working.
did he tell you
makes
not to work.
He makes a lot of money at what he does. Shows for all my Coach bags he bought me, all of my snowboarding equipment, my snowboard that he bought me, all my snowboarding trips. This isn't just the only thing. He bought me tons of things, tons of things. He had me not working to take care of his eyeglasses appointment, all of his appointments and everything. I was like his personal secretary. This wasn't like a normal, oh, I'm staying home and get to go get my nails done every single, no. And I would have to go to the mall and buy new clothes because I wasn't presentable enough for him in front of his family. I'd have to take pictures of me in the mirror and send it to him to make sure that that was appropriate.
She's lying.
No, I am not. This was not your normal relationship.
No, she's a dingbat. But she was your dingbat. You picked the dingbat. And you indulged the dingbat, Mr. Stockwell. You indulged the dingbat. When did you purchase this car?
November 19th.
November 19th, 2006?
Correct.
And how long did you live together after you had the car?
Approximately 3 months. I
How
would think
long?
maybe a little bit longer.
Let's see. About 5 months.
5 months.
Could have been 5 months?
Could have been, yeah.
You didn't get your $4,000 back month one?
No,
month
I didn't.
two?
I didn't really start to get
Month
concerned about
two?
it until month 3.
Month three? Yeah.
Month three is when I started to get concerned, and
And what happened in month 3? You still slept together?
oh yeah.
You weren't that concerned, right? weren't that stressed that
I was
it
under the
interfered with your
well, I was under the
performance?
impression that I was still going to be getting the vehicle. Her parents had the vehicle, but I was still
Get
being
down on the
told.
floor, sir. Kiss the ground that's there. Say, listen, I already made 2 mistakes, right? You have 2 children from 2 different women. And how old are you? 26? 27?
27.
27? That would count in the category of mistakes. This might have been a 3rd one. Not clever. But you don't get your money back. Goodbye, Mr. Stockwell. That's all.
Orders are excused. You may step out.
Obviously, once I found out she was a liar and everything that she had been saying was bull,
I left and I got my own place,
then I decided to move on.
and I'm doing just fine now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bile versus Darling. Step forward.
24-year-old Jordan Bile is suing 19-year-old Jacob Darling for crashing his motorcycle during a test drive. Jacob claims the accident was due to the motorcycle's faulty brakes.
Mr. Bile, would you tell me something about yourself, sir? Your age, what you do for a living, schooling?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Jordan Bile. I'm a laboratory technician for Sherwin-Williams. I'm 24 years old. I attended Pensacola Christian College for 2.5 years. I've been working at Sherwin-Williams for 3 years as a laboratory tech.
So you sound like an intelligent young man.
Yes, ma'am. I like to think so.
It's a relatively simple case. You were selling a motorcycle. Had a for sale sign on it.
Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
The defendant and his girlfriend
Yes.
came over and said, gee, you may be interested in buying it. I'd like to take it on a test drive. So far, right?
No, he actually offered the test drive.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
And tell me something about yourself, Mr. Darling.
My name's Jacob Darling. I'm 19 years old. I work full-time at Tom's Crane Service, doing landscaping and maintenance. I also go to Akron University full-time, majoring in engineering right now.
So you're a smart guy.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to.
So he offered you a test drive.
Mm-hmm.
Offered you.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said fine.
Mm-hmm.
And he took the bike out for a test drive, and he crashed it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want him to pay to repair it. Mr. Darling has a counterclaim because Mr. Darling says that after he crashed the motorcycle and came back with it, you said to him, oh, it was the brakes. I've had trouble with those too. Did you ever say that to him?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Now, the reason that I asked the two of you for your background is because that would be one of the dumbest things that anybody could say. Oh, you crashed the motorcycle? It was my fault because the brakes were bad. I've had problems with the brakes myself. And I wanted to know what kind of moron he was, Mr. Darling, because he would have to be a big moron if I believed your answer, right?
Yes.
He would have to be a super big moron to say, oh, you hurt yourself, you're out of work, you ruined my motorcycle, and it's my fault because I let you drive a motorcycle with bad brakes.
If I could explain the
Just a
circumstances.
second.
Okay.
Do you understand where we're going, Mr. Darling?
Yes.
Good. Now you can explain the circumstances.
Okay, I test drove this motorcycle, and I was going below the posted speed limit of 25. I entered the turn. It was the final turn before I was back to his house. I noticed that there was gravel in the turn, which on a motorcycle you cannot go through a turn in gravel or you will slide out. So I had to stop before the turn so I could slowly proceed through it. Without the use of the back brakes, after pressing on the pedal and getting nothing from them, I wasn't able to slow down in time to make the turn, so I had to go straight into the ditch. On the way back, Mr. Bile was pushing the bike back, and me and my friend Allison were walking slightly behind. And I mentioned...
My friend Allison and I.
Yeah, my girlfriend Allison. I don't know. But anyway, we were walking back, and I mentioned to her, she was like, what happened? What happened? And I said, the brakes didn't work. The rear brakes, I pressed the pedal, and they just did not work. So when she said, you must tell him that, you have to tell him that. Once we got back to his house, I then proceeded to explain the rear brake difficulty that I had, and he was like, oh yes, I did forget to mention that I have had problems with the brakes.
In a million years, I don't believe you.
No, ma'am.
My witness...
Yeah, I don't care. Your witness could stand there on a stack of Bibles, and I wouldn't believe her either. Were you bleeding?
Yes.
So you were injured.
Yes.
Visible. He could see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he could see that his bicycle was ruined.
Mm-hmm.
And right there and then, he accepted responsibility for your injuries and the bicycle being crashed by saying, I had problems with the brakes.
I don't think it was something he meant to say, but once he was surprised by me saying that and did answer that the brakes did have difficulties. And I made a police report the day after the incident because I was in the hospital the night of. The police officer then looked over it and agreed that I wasn't responsible because there was really nothing I could do. So he gave me...
Show me the police officer wrote that. Let me see what the police officer wrote, Mr. Darling, that there was nothing you could do, that you weren't responsible. I'd like to see that in his report.
I don't have anything from that. He did...
Then I can't hear that, Mr. Darling, because if you don't have it, it doesn't exist.
Okay. He did speak to, or he came and spoke on my behalf in court, which I got out of the points of the ticket.
Did you get a ticket?
I did get a ticket.
For what?
For failure to control, because he said ultimately I was on
Don't tell me what he
motorcycle.
said. That's hearsay. You were convicted, correct?
I was cleared of the conviction after going to court.
You have a dismissal of that ticket with you.
I don't actually have the dismissal of the ticket, but I didn't receive any points on my license
I
for
don't
the
care whether
ticket
you receive
or...
points or not.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Bile, did you have any knowledge that there was damage to the brakes on this bike?
No, ma'am.
When was the time, immediately preceding the time Mr. Darling test drove the bike, that you rode the bike?
I think I rode it for the last time in November. The previous year, 2006.
How long had you had the bike?
I had it for 7 months.
So it was a brand new bike?
Brand new. Bought it from the dealer.
How much did you pay for the bike, sir?
$1,475.
And how much were you selling it to Mr. Darling?
I was selling it for $1,300 or best offer.
Well, that's what you're going to pay for it, Mr. Darling, because to fix it is going to cost $1,852.23.
I do have more evidence here that...
Yeah, go ahead. Let me hear.
He sent me a letter saying he was disappointed he hasn't heard from me about the bike to get a repayment. And in this letter, there's a list of what's wrong with the motorcycle, and the rear brake assembly is included in this list, which is the problem that I had with it, was with the rear brakes.
What else is in there?
He includes a very extensive release form that would discharge him, his family, and any representatives from any claims, demands, losses, or anything that I experienced.
Absolutely.
Meaning he must have felt that
Don't tell me what he felt.
Okay.
It's a brand new bike, 7 months old.
It was a very cheaply made bike, to say the least.
Then you shouldn't have taken it out, sir.
I know I shouldn't have.
And you shouldn't have taken it out. You did take it out, and you ruined it. You're going to pay for it. It's yours. You bought it. $1,300. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Isaac Gibb versus Monzon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Kiev, how long did you and the defendant live together?
We lived with each other for over 5 years.
In your complaint, you say it was 6.
6 years, yes. That's when the trouble started.
And during the time that you were living together, were you working?
Yes, I was working.
Continuously?
Continuously.
And what about the defendant? Was he working?
No, he was always between jobs. He had over 5 jobs.
How long were you unemployed, Mr. Monson?
It was like a month.
But other than that, you were working?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you arrange your finances?
In my paycheck, I pay the mortgages and bills.
And what about with his paycheck?
His paycheck, whenever he can help me, he'll give me some money.
It doesn't seem like a very, very appropriate financial arrangement. Did you have a joint bank account?
At one point, we did.
Oh, fine. So you had a joint bank account. And when you had a joint bank account, did you deposit your paychecks?
Yes, I did, but money was missing from the account. Plus, child support was pulling money from the account because he owed over $53,000 in arrear back payments, which I have evidence.
You don't have to show me. I got it. You picked them.
Right. Bad apple.
Well, I would have figured that out if it's true within a year, not 6 years. You have no children together?
No.
Perfect. This is your complaint. You say that he trashed your house when he moved out, and you want him to fix up the house, that he also took all the property in the house. When he moved out, you want the return of value of your property. Also say that he has a car that was evidently in both your names. You don't necessarily want the car back, but you want your name off the title because you don't want to be responsible for the car anymore.
Correct.
Now, Mr. Monzon says that the car is just as much his as it is yours, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who paid for it?
Apparently I did.
What do you mean apparently? What does that mean?
Because she said that I didn't make the house payment, so then my check only paid the Montero, so I guess the Montero's mine then.
I have.
I mean, that's what she told me. My check wasn't making the house payment. It was just paying the bills in the Montero. Hello, how did you make the house payment then?
Just a second. Did you take any property from the house, sir?
The property I took from the house...
No, the answer is either
yes, I did.
Or no. What property did you take from the house?
I took some furniture that I bought.
That you bought when?
When we were together.
From what money? Is not an answer.
Like August.
From the money August?
I mean, what'd you say about the furniture? I mean, you're confusing me, I'm sorry.
I want you to try to pay attention, not try to think ahead.
Okay.
It will be too taxing for you. I want you to think of what I'm saying just at the moment. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you get the money from that you used to purchase the furniture?
Oh, from my check, from my work, my job.
Okay. Did you deposit it in a bank account?
No, I gave her my check, and I had my own money.
You mean you had different money from the money that you earned from your work?
Since we were no longer together, as she claimed, I wasn't going to give her the rest of my check anymore.
I'm asking you about the furniture that you purchased, sir, that was in the house.
Yes, I purchased it.
Oh. See, this is not going to be easy. Listen, almost marrieds don't cut it in court, especially this one. Is not particularly interested in your almost married debt, your almost married joint property, your almost married bank accounts. You choose to get married, we've created an entire and an elaborate court system to deal with that. You choose to live together without benefit of marriage. There are certain things that you're going to fall short when the relationship terminates. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So, you want the furniture or the car?
I'll take the car.
Perfect. Where's the title?
I had the registration here. It's been changed already in my name. Okay, that's what she wanted.
Fine. So it's out of her name now.
Yes, it is.
Is that what you want?
Yes, and also the F-150, his truck, my name is also on there too.
The F-150 is in my dad's name. It's no longer in the name of...
Okay, listen to me. Where is all the furniture?
Some of it is gone because she abandoned the house and me, and I didn't know when she was going to come back or not. She left right...
Where's the furniture?
It's gone.
Did it fly away, sir? Did the earth open up and take it?
Some of the furniture was still there.
Okay. Mr. Monzon, you're making my life very easy, sir. Very easy. Let me see pictures of the house, please.
Do you want to see the before or after?
I want to see both.
Okay.
And the property that he took from the house, give me an approximate value of this furniture that's gone.
The ones that I'm concerned about are my computer, armor, passport, necklace that I got from my mom, my late mother, and...
That's not furniture, madam. You're not talking furniture. I'm talking about furniture.
I didn't come here for furniture. I came...
Oh, because you say in your complaint that he emptied out your house.
Yes, but what I'm concerned about is my computer, my passport...
Where's her computer?
The computer was bought for me. She bought that computer for me.
No, I have...
Just a second. It's not your computer. Do you understand? The computer is going back to her. You've got the car and the truck. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you get. That's what I'm giving you. Period. Everything else goes back to her, including the computer. Do you understand? Within 5 days, the computer goes back to her. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut an order to motor vehicles to transfer the titles to both the truck and the car back to her name. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what kind of an agreement you signed when you came here? That every decision that I made, you would abide by.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Within 5 days, the computer goes back to her in good condition. Because if it's not, I'm going to take your car away. Now do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. Now I see the nice house. By the way, you have a passport too?
No.
You're going to have to write away for another passport. All right, it's got a nice house. Can I see the after, please? Perfect. Oh, my goodness gracious me. Mr. Monzone, what were you so angry about, sir?
Well, I was angry at her, but I didn't take it out on the house. House don't hit back.
I understand from reading the complaint that there came a time when you weren't there. He changed the locks on the house. Did you change the locks on him?
Prior to November, I did.
Did you let him back in?
No, he kicked the door in.
And what did you do?
I called the police because
And the police told you that you couldn't lock him out?
No.
Okay. Did he come back into the house?
He came back into the house.
How?
He kicked the door into the house.
You already told me that he kicked the door once.
Right.
Then the police were called.
Right.
What happened when the police were called?
They told me that you shouldn't have locked him out because he has every right to be here.
You shouldn't have. That's what I
Because I was
thought.
coming home from work, and I didn't know I was being locked out anyways.
I would have locked you out a long time ago, but that's just me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You owe $53,000 in back child support, and they would have taken your house. That's why it was put in her name. Is that smart of me to think of that?
Yeah, it is, but it wasn't.
Right.
And later today,
Why was it put in your personal bank account?
The money was essentially mine from the get-go.
No, that's not true. You're an embezzler.
Coach Kiev says her former live-in boyfriend, Jovial Monzon, owes for the return of property and for the cost to repair her home.
Who made the holes in the wall, sir?
I don't know.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I don't believe you at all.
When I left the house, it was in good condition.
Not now. So either you did it or she destroyed her own house.
Your Honor, I was served some papers from one of her lawyers saying that they hear voices in the house. And, if they hear voices in the house and I'm at work, hello, what did that tell you? Somebody else is in the house. Call the police, I'm being robbed.
Mr. Monzon, you walked out of the house with probably the only two valuable things that were there, which were a car and a truck. Now you say one is in your father's name. How did it get in your father's name?
He was the one who bought me that truck, and they just put it in our name just to show him how much they cared about us, that they didn't want nothing to do with it.
He bought the truck for?
For me, but to put it in our name.
He put it in your name because you owed back child support, and they were going to take the truck if you put it in your name alone. Who are you kidding?
No, that wasn't the reson why.
Wasn't the reason why? But
No,
it was a
wasn't.
very good reason. Is that smart of me to think of that?
Yeah, it is, but it wasn't.
Right. Right. How much is it going to cost you to clean up this mess?
I don't live there, so it's hard for me to get somebody to go and give an estimate. I've been working with my realtor, and she's been trying to get someone out there also, and we haven't.
Well, how do you expect me to figure it out?
It's a lot of damage. I have receipt from when I installed the carpet, brand new carpet, and the stove that he damaged. I have receipts of it.
In what year did you install that?
It was July '06 when I had the house on the market.
And was he living there in July of '06?
July '06, he actually went to rehab, drug rehab. He
But
was gone for a week.
you had been living with him. So if you put the new carpet in the house, madam, it's from monies that you had pooled together.
No, this is money from refinancing my house.
How much did you take out of the house?
I took out to pay off the car, which was $21,000 on the car, and
Which car?
The Montero.
You paid off the Montero?
I paid off the Montero. I have the refinancing paperwork. Shows the check distributed to Mitsubishi.
Can I see that, please? You paid off the car?
Yes, I did.
You want the car?
I do want the car back.
Oh, you want the car?
But he refused to give me back the car, so I said, if you want to keep the car, then take my name off the title because I don't want any responsibility. But if I can get my car back, I would love to have my car back because I paid for that.
She says she took out a home equity loan and refinanced the house for $21,000 and paid off the Montero. Is that true? I have paperwork here.
I guess so. I mean,
What year is the Montero?
2002.
How much was it?
$800 and something that apparently I was making the payments on.
So you can't pay for both the house and the car at the same time?
No, but apparently she said she was. It's her car and the house. Your Honor, the house, we bought the house together. I mean, I'm not even countersuing against that.
When was the house purchased?
It was purchased 2 years ago, which my parents gave her $15,000 so she can purchase the house. We
I
could.
gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. And the house was put in her name?
No, she put it in her own name.
I said the house was put in her name.
Right. Why would you
Because
put
how
my
mu-
name in there?
Why? Because you owe $53,000 in back child support. That's why. And they would have taken your house. That's why it was put in her name. Same reason that the cars were put in other people's names other than yours. Have you paid your child support?
Yes, I pay it out of my paycheck. Comes
Oh,
out
because now they
every
take it
weekly.
out of your paycheck.
Yes, I pay
Good.
it.
Who are you living with now?
I'm between houses.
You living in one of your cars?
No. I'm supposed to be leaving to go to Denver. Apparently, but I had to come here first. Take care of this.
Leaving for Denver for what?
To start anew, to get away from the plaintiff.
Where are your children?
My children are in California.
And where are you living now?
I'm living in Benicia right now.
In California?
Yes.
So you're moving hundreds of miles away from your children?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I chose her over my kids. Stupid, huh? She gave me the choice.
Listen to me.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody makes you make that choice, sir.
You're right.
Nobody makes you make that choice.
Biggest one I made.
Okay. Now, he does not have your necklace. He does not have your passport. He has your computer, which he's going to return to you in 5 days. Do you understand?
Yes.
The house is in your name.
Yes.
Did you get a deposit for $15,000 from his family for the house?
It was $12,000, yes.
So you did. Did you pay them back?
I did.
When?
I borrowed $12,000 for the first house that I bought. When I sold that house and made some money, I paid them back after I sold the first house.
What about a down payment on this house?
I bought it with $0 down.
With $0 down?
Yes. The money was to put in the bank to show that I can make the payment.
And where did you get that money from?
I borrowed it from my sister and from his mother.
From his mother?
Yes.
Did you give it back to her?
I did. Yes, I did.
Did she give it back to your mother?
I don't know.
You were there.
Okay, fine. Okay. You get your computer back, and I believe that you're entitled for money for the car because I believe that you made a substantial payment on the car. He's going to take your name off the title. He says he's already taken care of that. But I believe you when you say you took out a home equity line of credit, and from that you paid off the Montero, so I'm giving you a judgment for $5,000, unless you want to turn the car over to her. What's your pleasure?
I'll keep the car.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Because I was fearful for my life. He made threats.
Violent threats. She was harassing me.
He threats to shoot me and do all kinds of stuff.
And she was making demands on me, saying that, oh, I better not make any demands. She's like raising her voice at me.
I hope it's the end, but I still have to go to a restraining order.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gravenstein, Irwin versus Lewis. Step forward, please.
26-year-old Vanessa Gravenstein and 25-year-old Karina Irwin are suing their former friend, Brian Lewis, for embezzling money from an art collective.
Ms. Gravenstein, according to the complaint that I've read, you and the co-plaintiff met the defendant. You were interested in starting something called an art collective. And I assume what that means is a place where young people can show off their art. Is that right?
And also produce their art and be inspired by each other.
And what you did was you and the co-plaintiff were involved in setting up events to raise money to create this art collective. And the two of you worked together along with Mr. Lewis. You raised over $4,700 at these various events, something that Mr. Lewis does not deny. And you put it in the bank. And Mr. Lewis took the money and spent it. Mr. Lewis's defense is that it was always intended to be his money. That's your defense.
Essentially.
Well, Mr. Lewis, I want you to explain that to me, sir.
9 months ago, I was starting a venue to have
Starting a
venue space for concerts, art showings, and so forth. And over the course of about 9 months, I looked for a location to house that.
I thought you said 9 months ago you had a venue space.
No, 9 months ago we did not.
9 months ago, then you had nothing. You had an idea.
We had an idea.
Keep going.
And over those 9 months, I started a business called...
What was the business?
The business name was Is Village, and it was filed by the Secretary of the State of Oregon.
So now you had an idea that you gave a name to, and you filed a registration of the name. So far you have an idea and a name, and nothing else. Keep going.
I basically looked for individuals to help me create this venue space that was supposed to be owned by myself, and met with friends and other individuals, and they aided me in organizing different events.
Who aided you?
These two individuals and a rotating group of individuals that came in, came out.
Keep going.
We held events, generated money, and because the business belonged to me, it was put in my personal bank account and was my personal
Why was it put
property.
in your personal bank account?
Because the business was mine, I started the group, the money was essentially mine from the get-go.
No, that's not true. You're an embezzler. Absolutely. You brought a group of people together in order to create a dream that you had and that you inspired others to act upon. In order to do this is village. That's why they went to work for you, and that's why, according to you, the other people who you spoke to became involved in creating the events that brought in money, which would ultimately provide you with a venue. Now, what did you spend the money on, Mr. Lewis?
When I was no longer satisfied with the direction of the business that I started, I followed up on interests, business interests, friends of mine, a limousine.
So you spent the money on yourself?
I wouldn't say that, but...
Well, I would. They weren't investing in a limousine. That's not why they worked to create this, so that you could invest in a limousine? Outrageous. You're outrageous. I'm surprised you didn't notify the police. Did you?
We notified you instead.
Well, his conduct is outrageous, and you should have notified the police. He's an embezzler. And I wouldn't go into a business with you, Mr. Lewis. What you did is outrageous. The only problem is you're not entitled to this money. I mean, my problem is people supported you and gave money and contributed because they were looking forward to some place where they could show their wares. If I gave you this money and you used it on yourself, you're no better than he is.
Exactly. So we feel like we've learned from this situation, and we're going to get a new business and a new business name.
I want to see how much money you collected and how much you put in his bank. You have the records?
Yeah.
I'd like to see it, please. Ever been arrested, Mr. Lewis?
No, ma'am.
How old are you?
21.
Better go back to business school.
Definitely considering it.
I want to see where the money went in.
The deposits are highlighted and circled, and then we wrote next to it which benefits that money came from.
Oh, that's fine. As soon as you get me the bank records, not these, the bank records. Do you understand? You mean you can't get them because they're in his name? I will sign an order for the bank to turn those over to you, unless he does. You prepared to turn those over?
More than happy to do it.
Fine. As soon as we get those, and you have a venue with a signed lease, the check will be made payable to that venue. Do you understand? That comports with the reason that not only you, but other people became involved in this vision. Is that reasonable?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Grow up, sir. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in jail. That's all.
The 8 on the calendar in the matter of Levine versus Rodriguez. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, folks. Have a seat.
Miss Levine, this used to be your boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he owes you for a plane ticket and for a cell phone bill.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez says the cell phone was your idea in order to keep in touch with him, and he never used the plane ticket.
Yes.
How long did this romance go on? For how many months?
About 8 months.
And when did you get involved with his cell phone business?
In July of '06.
How long had you known him?
7 months.
So you got involved in his cell phone business a month before you broke up?
Correct.
Tell me how that came about.
He had been complaining he had wanted a new phone, and he was on his father's plan. His father would not allow him to get a new phone, and we had discussed getting him a new phone with a different carrier so that we could talk with free minutes. Also, we had a verbal agreement that if I bought him a new phone, he would pay me back as soon as he got his check that month in July.
Where were you working?
I was a nanny. I was working as a nanny.
And what was he doing?
Nothing.
Well, when was he supposed to pay you for the cell phone?
Well, he said he was getting another check in July from the school district.
What kind of work does he do for the school district?
He was a campus supervisor.
When was the bill that you claim he owes you? Was it a bill or was it the actual cell phone that
There's
he owes you?
two. I paid for the cell phone in July, and then there was also a bill that has accrued since we started the phone.
How much was the phone itself?
$229.30.
And how much was the bill?
The bill now is $724.38.
For how many months?
That was the last statement I got was in March of this last year.
Why didn't you just cut off the phone?
I did end up shutting off the phone. That was after he racked up all of the charges. He had promised to pay the bill every month. I had set up the bill to go to his address. His name was on it as well. My name was just used for credit purposes. So he got the statement every single month in the mail to his address. And he told me he was paying it.
You mean after you broke up?
Yes. Well, when I set up the phone in July, he
He said he would pay it, but this $724 isn't for 1 month
No.
or 2 months. And according to you, you broke up in August.
We did break up in August, and I paid the first bill in September, and then...
You did? Why?
Because he had called me. I was out of town. He called me and told me he needed the bill paid, and I didn't want it to go into collections at that time, so I did pay it over the phone.
And what about the next month's bill?
He told me he paid it. I was on the phone with Verizon. He said I sent a check.
Let's talk about the cell phone. Get the plane ticket in a second. Talk.
She knew that I was out of work. Working for the school district, it's a 10.5-month job.
Well, then that's what you do for a living. You work for a school district that's a 10.5-month job.
Right. And she was well aware.
Don't tell me what she was aware of, sir. I want to hear your explanation of needing a new telephone.
I did not need a new telephone. I was perfectly fine with the one that I had underneath my father's plan. The only reason that she wanted me to have the cell phone was so that we could talk for free. And we could text message for free.
Okay, so as one of your famous, fabulous 5 friends? Or
something along those lines, yeah.
I don't do that. I don't have 5 people that I want to speak to that often. Let's discount the phone for a second, Mr. Rodriguez. What about your cell phone bill? Why didn't you pay that?
What? I had no money. I was out of work. I wasn't out of work, but I wasn't working.
Well, get a job, sir.
I had a job.
Then don't talk on a cell phone.
We broke up in August, and after August, the phone was never used.
Oh, show me. Can I see a bill if that's true? If the phone was never used after August, is that what you're telling me?
The phone, once we broke up, the phone was...
That's the bill.
No, all I want to know is, you're saying to me, once you broke up in August, the phone was never used.
Correct.
He did not rack up $500 in a month.
Oh, no. I need the bills from September, October, November. This doesn't tell me anything, madam.
It says what the charges are.
For what month?
For all of them. The phone wasn't shut off until December.
I understand that the phone wasn't shut off until December, but there's a factual dispute. If he says that he did not use the phone after you broke up, then some credence to his story that you decided to get this phone so that the two of you could either chat or text message each other for nothing. One phone bill doesn't do it for me. Do you understand?
I understand that, yes.
Do you have the others with you?
I do not have any other phone bills with me.
Here, give this back to her for now.
That was the only way I was able to get a hold of him, was his cell phone. So I did talk to him on the cell phone.
That's not my statement to you, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Fine. So, since you didn't bring that with you, I'm going to dismiss the cell phone portion of your claim without prejudice. You can certainly sue him for that amount of money when you have the appropriate documents to back up your story. You don't have them today. Now let's get to the plane ticket. When was the plane ticket purchased?
July of '06.
July what?
I believe it was the 14th.
And when did you officially break up with him?
The last week of August.
When was this trip supposed to take place?
We were supposed to leave September 1st, and we broke up the very week before.
9/1. And where were you going?
We were going to Pennsylvania and Cleveland.
For what?
Pennsylvania to visit family, Cleveland to the Cleveland Clinic, and then to the Canton to the Football Hall of Fame.
When did you purchase the ticket?
July 14th of '06.
Is that correct?
I'm not sure what the date was.
Well, I'm sure she has documents showing when she purchased the ticket and when you were supposed to leave.
I've never had, in my possession, I've never had the ticket, so I don't know
It doesn't make any
when she
difference.
had bought it.
Because what I found interesting was you said that the reason you were going to Pennsylvania is to attend her grandfather's funeral. That's what you say. And I said to myself, well, how do you plan for something like that 2-3 weeks in advance? You know,
No.
I don't know whether her grandfather is alive or not, but you don't...
Her grandfather did pass away.
Yes.
On the trip that we were supposed to go to, her grandfather did pass away.
But he did not pass away.
Shh. I have no idea what you just said to me.
Her grandfather passed away on the trip that we were supposed to go to.
But you hadn't planned on going there for his funeral unless he had some sort of premonition that he was going, sir.
We did, though, ma'am. It was something that was known for a while that
he was going to die while you were there?
Not while we were there, but
you know, you sound ridiculous. You know, you sound ridiculous. You mean she wanted to go visit her grandfather because he was sick?
Right.
That's not what you said here. You said that you planned to go to Pennsylvania to attend her grandfather's funeral.
Right.
He's not too swift. Okay, tell me about the plane ticket.
We were going to go visit family in Pennsylvania and then move on to Cleveland. He was going to accompany me and my mother. My mother actually purchased the tickets and spoke with Rory on the phone. And
Perfect. Can you step up? Your last name is?
Randall.
Miss Randall, tell me about the conversation you had with Mr. Rodriguez about this plane ticket.
On the day that we were purchasing the tickets, I spoke with him on the phone, and he told me he would reimburse Stacy for the airfare. And at the same time, we opened up the airline's frequent flyer mileage account for him, set that up, and it was my clear understanding from him during that conversation.
I don't want to hear your clear understanding.
Sorry.
I want to hear what he said to you.
He said he would reimburse Stacy for the cost of the airline ticket.
And then what happened? Thank you.
We broke up.
Yes.
And there was no reason for me to go on a trip with him if we weren't together.
Absolutely right, sir.
And
Was
at the same time as
Was the ticket refundable?
It was non-refundable. I tried transferring it into my name so that I could use it. I was not able to do that. I told him that as soon as I knew that. I said, here's the ticket. You know, you can use it for up to a year later. Did not give it to him because he had not paid for it. And he still has until July 14th of this year to use it.
Did you have that discussion with him?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember that discussion when she said it's non-transferable, but you can use it for up to a year?
Yes.
Well, then you have to pay for it.
When we had talked originally about buying this ticket, I told her, just as a cell phone, I did not have money because
I believe her mother that her mother had the discussion with you, sir.
And
I believe her mother. I do not believe you that you didn't have that discussion with her mother.
I'm not saying that I didn't have the discussion with her mother, but what I'm saying is that I was out of work.
I don't care whether you were out of work.
And I let them know that I couldn't pay them immediately.
That's a different story. The word is immediately. So you,
And
you don't intend to be unemployed forever.
When we had broken up, so there was no reason for me to even go on a trip with them.
Of course not, sir, but the ticket is non-refundable. I want you to try to expand your brain a little bit, Mr. Rodriguez. The fact that you broke up and you had non-refundable ticket, let's say instead of going to Pennsylvania, you were going with her to Cancun, Mexico, and you purchased 2 non-refundable tickets. She put it on her credit card. You broke up. There's no question. You said, listen, we're not going on this trip. She's not going to go alone. I'm not going to go alone. But the airline says to you, and they say to you, listen, if you canceled, we're not giving you money back, but you can reschedule within the next 6 months. She put it on her credit card. Do you think you're responsible to pay her for those tickets?
No.
You're wrong. You are. You have an opportunity to use the tickets, but you can't say, I'm not going to touch those tickets. You promised her mother that you were going to pay her back for the tickets. You had an opportunity to use them for a year. You should have used them. And I suggest you get your behind into gear because you still have a couple of days to use them. Figure out where you want to go. If you want to go to the Hall of Fame, that's a great place to go for a weekend. How much were the tickets?
$331.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $331. With regard to the cell phone bill, you bring the right proof. Either I'll entertain your application or another court of competent jurisdiction will do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dettenheim versus Dettenheim. Step forward, please.
Eve Dettenheim is suing her sister, Carol Dettenheim, for damaging her car when she ran into a deer. Carol says she offered her sister a portion of the deer meat as payment.
Miss Dettenheim, this is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, she took your car. Your neighbors?
Yes.
She took your car, you say without permission, had an accident, you want her to pay for the damage to your car.
Yes.
Your sister says she really had your permission because she used to borrow the car all the time. You left the back door open, she grabbed the keys, she needed some diapers or something, she wanted to go to the store. There was an accident, it was unavoidable, she hit a deer, damaged the car, and her defense is you should have had better insurance. Is that your defense?
I thought she had full coverage.
What made you think that?
I just didn't think.
You didn't think? Who do you rely on to do your thinking?
I just use it all the time, and she wasn't home, so I went over there to get the key and went, and the deer just jumped out in front of me.
Was the deer hurt?
Oh, it died.
Did you wait for somebody to come and take the carcass away?
No, I put pine straw over it and took the antler and went and got it later.
Went and got what later?
The deer.
What'd you do with it?
Ate it.
Is that true?
Yes, ma'am, and she even offered me some, but I'm not having rigor mortis stew. I know. It did not have rigor mortis, so I went back. That is just sick.
pictures of your car, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you live, Miss Tettenheim?
Louisiana.
Where in Louisiana?
Haynesville.
How long have you and your sister been neighbors?
For 1 year.
Who moved close to whom?
She moved close to me.
You have an estimate to fix this car?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. Are you angry with your sister?
A little bit. I feel like she needs to own up to the responsibility that she did damage my car and make what is wrong right.
So, what do you think?
Well, that night when I told her about the wreck, I thought it was just a headlight. And, you know, we talked about it and looked at everything. But then the next morning, she come over there just hollering at me, banging on my door, telling me how I owed her and all this. And I've helped her with a lot of stuff in the past and has made my life. I had to move because, I mean, I still have the house, but I can't stay with her. She'll do stuff like rev up her engine in the morning, trying to wake up my son and stuff, trying to make my life hard. And it's become an issue. It's like the Hatfield McCoys or something. So,
do you work?
No, ma'am.
How do you support yourself?
My boyfriend.
Does he live with you?
Well, I'm staying with him now, just because she's hard to be next
Well,
to.
when's the last time you were employed?
I'm a student right now. It's been almost a year. I've been a stay-at-home mom.
A student of what?
I'm going to be a bail bondsman.
And how often do you go to school for that?
Right now, it's just a little course right now.
So why don't you work?
Because I don't have to.
Well, you have to because you owe your sister $1,300.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to have to owe $1,300.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,300. Thank you very much.
Your Honor.
Go back to Louisiana and be happy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties on Levine versus Rodriguez. Step forward, please.
From a case earlier today, Stacy Levine claims ex-boyfriend Rory Rodriguez owes for an unpaid cell phone bill. Judge Judy adjourned the case, directing Stacy to procure the appropriate phone records.
Ms. Levine, I am advised by my court officer that you were able to secure subsequent phone bills. If my recollection is correct, when we last did the initial part of your case, Mr. Rodriguez says that he did not use the phone after the two of you broke up in August.
Correct. I have about 60
of
pages.
2006. And you said that he racked up a substantial phone bill in the triple digits and used the phone after August. So that's where we left off, because the bill that you had did not demonstrate when the balance was accrued. Do you remember the telephone number of the phone that you had that Ms. Levine was paying for?
No, I don't.
What was the telephone number?
510-89.
Who was this lady?
This is my girlfriend.
Since when?
Since March of this year.
Well, she wouldn't know the old number. You
No,
only
she
know
wouldn't.
his new phone number, right?
My
What's his new phone number?
51896, I believe.
96?
I think so. He just got a new one a couple weeks ago.
What's with him and cell phones?
There's certain people I want to call me, and there's certain people I don't want to call me.
So you mean you change girlfriends, you change your cell phone?
No.
Can I please see the bills? What was his phone number?
5171.
That sound right to you, sir?
Yes.
See what month that is? Mr. Rodriguez.
September.
$378.
Mom.
Your mother. She wasn't calling your mother, right? And when that was September 30th. So I guess you were mistaken that you didn't use it in September, right? Here we go. Now take September. Now, Mr. Rodriguez, you know what we're going to do?
No.
Would you like to do October?
Sure.
Or would you just like to pay her the money that you owe her for the cell phone?
I can pay her.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You may step back. How much is a cell phone bill?
$724.38.
We're adding on that to the plane ticket. Then you will be a free man, Mr. Rodriguez. Good?
Good.
Perfect. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Ricotta, it is your claim that you gave Mr. Leach $4,500 so that he could go out and scout around and find a car for your daughter for her birthday.
Yes.
Mr. Leach acknowledges that you gave him $4,500, but he says it was the return of a loan. This was your boyfriend for a period of time?
For 3 years.
So, Mr. Leach, I'm going to start with you, sir. When did you make Mr. Ricotta a loan?
The exact date was July of 2006.
And what was the loan for, sir?
Unforeseen expenses, household expenses, and also she had a very tight budget in terms of purchasing this car. So I was helping out with that.
Purchasing which car?
The car she was looking for her daughter for.
Tell me how these loans came about, Mr. Leach.
I
What do you mean? Sir, am I saying something confusing to you? Is English your primary language?
Yes, it is. Actually, I just had to think for a moment because...
Because you didn't expect me to start with you. That's why you had to think for a moment, because you didn't expect me to start with you. Well, your defense is that the money she gave you was a return of a loan. So, tell me about the loan.
Okay. She was telling me she was struggling in terms of meeting expenses, household expenses, and also at the same time in terms of what she was trying to do in purchasing this car. It was a lot of expenses that came up, so it was very difficult for her in order to meet those expenses.
How did you come up with a figure, Mr. Leach?
I'm sorry, excuse me? Yeah. How did she come up?
How did you come up with a figure about how much money you were going to loan her?
Because it was about how much it would cost to buy a car. I figured how much, from what I knew about, though it was going to be very difficult to find a car for that amount of money, but, we were going to try to see.
So you gave her the money to buy this car that she wanted to buy for her daughter. Is that what you're telling me? Mr. Leach,
yes, correct.
That's not what you say in your answer, but let's say you sort of forgot what you wrote in your answer. So you lent her the money to buy this car, and you were supposed to look for the car because that's your sort of strong suit because you buy cars at auctions.
I have a friend who owns a dealership, and I thought that we could help her find a car through him.
So then why would you give her the money to give the money back to you?
It was her car. She would have to write the check for the car. She'd be
Not
purchasing
necessarily, sir. You could have written the check out of your account. How did you know it was going to be $4,000?
the car. I didn't. It was an estimate how much it was going to cost.
Show me the proof.
Okay,
Show me the proof. I'm dying to see your proof. Show me a bank statement, sir.
I don't have a bank statement with me. I have a canceled check showing the amount of money withdrawn.
Where's your bank statement showing that this money came out of your account?
I don't. It's a copy of the canceled check, the front and the back.
Show me the bank statement. You were supposed to bring bank statements, sir.
I'm sorry, I don't have a bank statement with me.
That's too bad. You have a bank statement to show me?
Yes.
Give that back to him, please. Thank you very much.
This transaction, which she's speaking of, in May of 2006, because he does have an auction, and I'm a single mother, and he knew I was struggling. He did not want me to take a part-time job, so he offered to help me with my finances, that we go in on a car together at auction, and we did. I put $4,000 in, he put $2,000. He did all the legwork, he went to auction, he sold the car, and for me loaning him the money, I made a $200 profit, which was good for me, worked for him, and I do have all the statements for that transaction. The canceled checks he's showing you is the payment of the $4,000 I originally gave him in May. So that was a totally separate transaction. And I do have bank statements showing it came out of my account.
Show me the money that you gave him.
Okay.
I'm talking about the money for your daughter's car.
Oh, okay.
As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Leach has been totally unsuccessful in persuading me that he made a loan to you.
Okay, that's what you have right there is for the transaction in October. And you can see there's a cancel money order that went into his bank account the day after I took it out of my bank.
That was in October.
Correct.
Does this look familiar to you, sir? This is a bank statement.
I know what a bank statement looks like. Let me ask you, can I ask you a question?
Can you ask me a question?
Yes, can I?
I don't know answers. All I know is proof. I know what proof is.
Okay,
Proof
a
is
canceled
when
check
money-
is not enough evidence to support.
Sir, anybody can prepare a copy of a canceled check.
Okay, what about the checks I wrote to her with?
Show me the checks.
You have a copies of with her name, with her endorsement.
These are copies, sir. I'm
Right.
looking for a bank statement showing me that money actually came out of an account.
Can you ask her if she?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think you're a hustler. She gave you this for $4,500? money went into your account, $4,500. What did you do with
Before
the
that money came out of my account, and I think she will admit that, that I wrote those checks to her. She endorsed it.
Yeah, she just explained to me that there was some
Okay.
sort of an arrangement with a second car. Did you
I
buy
do
another
have a-
car at auction?
Yeah, there's another and she's made that claim before, and I actually have evidence to support otherwise that's not true what she's telling you.
Show me.
Okay.
Well, here I have something, Mr. Ricotta, in June of 2006, made out to cash. It says for Rosie. Who endorsed this?
I did. It's written on this.
So you cashed it, you endorsed it, and you wrote on for Rosie.
No, I wrote on Rosie, and then I endorsed it afterward.
And what did you do with the money?
I gave the money to her.
Did he give you money in June?
No. In fact, I have a bank account statement of the first transaction that I took out $4,000 in May, and that he paid me back the $4,000 with those checks that you see a copy of.
Okay. So you gave him the $4,500 when?
October 4th, 2006.
Well,
My
it was
daughter...
coming up to an anniversary. Would you mind telling me what took you so long?
I originally started suing him in December. At the end of December, I took him to a small claims court.
And what happened?
He did not show up. He claimed he did not receive the notice. So he obtained an attorney. He had the attorney file to set a new court date. So that was successful, and that's what led us to here.
Ms. Ricotta, I'm satisfied that you gave him $4,500. I am now also satisfied that you vigorously pursued the return of your $4,500 2 months after you gave him the $4,500. I mean, I don't understand why he took your money and didn't purchase this car. Is there any reason? Did you break up with him shortly afterwards?
Yes, he felt the day that he came to my house, which was December 1st, 2 days before my daughter's birthday, because I did want it for my daughter's 16th birthday. And even though we had broken up earlier in August, we still remained friendly and we'd see each other now and then. I felt that he felt we were still going to stay together. And on
Come on, get to it. December 1st, he was at your house, and?
December 1st, he came to my house. I said, since you don't have the car in time for my daughter's birthday, I would like the money back. And I asked him if he still had the money. And he basically in turn said I called him a liar and a thief, and he felt disrespected, and he was hurt. He was hurt because that ended the relationship at that point. It was the last time.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, because that's not what happened actually at that time. That night in question, actually, she accused me of stealing money, which I had not done. She was under the influence of non-prescription medication, and she had a lot of issues, depression, and she was taking it out on me. I mean, I can add a lot more insight, but it's a personal issues that that.
I don't have to go into personal issues.
Right,
All I
right.
have to know is, in my own gut,
Right.
is whether or not I believe, based upon the proof that's been shown to me today, whether or not she gave you $4,500 to go and look for a car for her daughter, and whether or not, because the relationship was over, you failed to return the $4,500. She has proof that she took $4,500 out of her bank. She has proof that that $4,500 found its way within a couple of days to your bank. You say it was the return of a loan. I am not satisfied that there was any loan that you made to her, because you gave me some convoluted story that, quite frankly, even you couldn't follow if you were sitting here. So I am satisfied that you did, in fact, take this money in the quest to buy this young lady a car, and you didn't return it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,500. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wish the verdict would have gone the other way. It would have sent a strong message to her that we're talking about denial and untruthfulness.
I'd worked long and hard for that money to save for my daughter, and here was the moment, and I couldn't do for her what I wanted to do.
It's not hard for me to believe that, he would go out of his way just to be a pain in the butt.
I'm not the type to have bitter feelings. I wish him the best, and I'm just glad to be moving on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dennis versus Dennis. Step forward.
Diane Dennis is suing her daughter, Christy Dennis, for fraudulently using her home as collateral on a bail bond. Christy claims she paid her back.
Mr. Dennis, this is your daughter.
Yes.
According to your complaint, your daughter has had a difficult adulthood. She has some children that you are caring for because she had a drug problem for a while and was unable to care for the children. And I assume that you're doing okay now.
Yes.
You look fine.
Thank you.
Sometime during that period of time, she gave you the home that she had, and you and the children live in that home.
Yes.
You subsequently found out that she had used that home while it was still in her name as collateral for bail for her boyfriend.
Right.
The boyfriend skipped out. The bail was up to several $1,000s. There was a lien on the house for that amount of money, and you want her to pay you back for that.
That's correct.
Is there a mortgage on the house?
Yeah.
And how much did you pay for it?
$115,000.
When did you buy it?
It would be like 96 or 97.
99.
Oh, 99.
What's the house now worth?
$150,000.
So it is appreciated in value.
Yes.
And when did she give it to you?
In September of '03.
And are you paying the mortgage on the house now?
Yes, I am.
Did you put any money down on the house?
No, I didn't.
So the house is now worth approximately $35,000 more than when you purchased it. And you put in zero money.
Well, I put some upgrades in the home, but I didn't.
That has
put any-
nothing to do with, you put in zero money.
That's right.
To purchase it.
Right.
And between 1999 and 2003, you paid the mortgage?
Yeah.
You did not pay the mortgage.
Well, I did. It went into foreclosure 3 times during that time. It was because of non-payment. So the first time it was $1,800. That was in '01. She came to me and said, I'm in big trouble.
Okay, that was $1,800. And
Okay,
then?
a year later in 2002, it was $2,200, and I paid that. And then I moved in with her. She was having trouble paying her bills and everything. And in 2003, it went into foreclosure for the 3rd time for non-payment.
But you were living with her at the time?
Yes, and I was giving her my half of the house payment to pay, but she was not paying the house payment. So then we owed $2,425. And I said, well, if you want me to pay it this time, it's no longer your house.
And that was in September of 2003?
Yes.
And when did you actually turn the house over to your mother?
September of 2003.
And when did you use the house as collateral for bail for your boyfriend?
In June of 2004.
Well, how could you use the house as collateral?
Well, it was still in my name.
Well, how could it be in your name if you turned it over to your mother? When did
She
you
kept
actually...
it in my name.
Oh, she can't do that.
No,
Why did
what
you
we
keep it
did
in your
is
name?
we did a quick claim deed and we notarized it and everything, but I did not record it at the county recorder's office.
Why not?
Because I was not anxious to take her house, and she said that she was going to pay me back. And so I put on the letter of explanation on the quick claim deed, I gave her a little bit of time to do that and said if she did it by a certain date.
Miss Dennis,
she never did it.
You don't get the benefit of the law when you're not following through and doing the right thing. Ms. Dennis, if you had recorded the deed, which you, I assume, ultimately did.
Yes, I did.
Then she couldn't have used the house as collateral.
That's right. That was my mistake, definitely.
It was your mistake.
Right.
But you're really not out any money because you have a home in which you put in no money and you have equity in the house of over $35,000.
Yes, and I've helped her a lot. The only thing
I'm not talking about you helping her. And I assume that when she gave you this house, and if there was an increased equity of $35,000, nobody paid any federal gift tax on the house.
Well, it hasn't been sold.
Doesn't have to be sold. She gave you a gift. And if the gift is in excess of $10,000, you have to pay a gift tax on that, Ms.
Well,
Dennis.
she was going into foreclosure. It was either going to go to the bank or to me.
You're making excuses. You know exactly what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is you now have a home in which at most you put in $4,000 if you paid the back mortgage payment.
No, that was over $6,000, 3 times.
I have 18 and 22.
And then 24, 25, the last time. That was the
Well,
foreclosure.
you were living, just a second, you were living there.
And giving her the payment.
You were living there. I don't believe that you were giving her the payment, Miss Dennis.
Was I giving? Okay.
Mr. Dennis, I don't believe you were giving her the payment. With her history of not paying the mortgage, it doesn't sound right to me that if you're living there because your daughter's on drugs, that you would turn over your half of the mortgage payment to her so that
Well,
she would
I
pay the
thought
mortgage. Ms. Dennis, it doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't
Okay.
make sense, it's not true.
Okay.
So,
Well, I thought she wasn't paying the payment because she didn't have the money. She went through a hard time. She lost her partner.
Ms. Dennis,
she
I
wasn't
don't believe
working.
you that you were giving her the money. I don't believe that you were living in the house with her to take care of your grandchildren because she was going through a difficult time, according to you, on drugs, and you were handing her over money. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
after
believe it.
that, after
I don't believe it.
Okay, after she signed the quitclaim deed, the only thing that changed is that I was now making the payment.
Miss Dennis, you have a house in which you have now $35,000 in equity for which you paid nothing.
Your Honor, I upgraded the downstairs.
Good for you.
I
Now you
upgraded.
own the
At
house.
the time I took the quitclaim deed, she had about $10,000 worth of equity. This has been since 2003 that she signed it over to me. In 2004, she used it as collateral to get her boyfriend out of jail.
Couldn't
now
have
that's
done
the
that.
only.
Couldn't have done that, my dear, if you had taken
But
the deed.
it still changes hands. The only thing is it doesn't give notice as far as I gave constructive notice because I'm living in the house.
Don't tell me about constructive notice. You did not give constructive notice to the bail bondsman. Because if you did, then the bail bondsman would not have
Well,
been.
yeah, I knew. I found out that about
You think
a year-
if you talk more than me,
No,
you're
no.
wrong on the law, Miss Dennis.
Of course, but
Yeah, of course.
A year
so
later,
if you're wrong on the law, and if you come to a court, somebody's going to say to you, you're wrong on the law. Now, sometimes you get a certain amount of sympathy because if you were out money, I would say,
I'm
you know,
out
I
so
have,
much
I
money.
have sympathy. Well, that's not what this is about. We're here on one particular issue. And the one issue that we're here to address is whether or not you are entitled to the money that you had to repay to take a lien off your house.
Right.
And I'm saying to you that it wasn't your house.
Okay.
Unless you record it, because that's what the law
Right.
requires.
Okay, let's
You're
say-
trying to speak over me. Now, Ms. Dennis, the law requires that with regard to real property, that is land, homes on land, that you record a deed so that the rest of the world knows that this is your property. The law does not require that with regard to personal property, the locket around your neck, the shirt that you're wearing, but the law requires that with regard to land.
Right.
You chose, for whatever reason, not to do that. She was absolutely entitled, therefore, during that period of time to use her house as collateral. Now, if you're looking for a sympathy factor, there is none, because according to you, the equity that she had built up until 2003 was $10,000. Now the equity is $35,000. So sympathetically, it's here. Morally, it's here.
Okay, I paid over $6,000 just to get it out of foreclosure when she was non-paying. Okay, I put in improvements that was way over the
Goodbye, Miss
10,000.
Dennis. You're not getting anywhere. The case is dismissed.
Russell versus Haig.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat, huh?
Ah, Mr. Russell, this is your complaint, sir. You met the defendant, and shortly after you met her, according to you, you found out that you were going to be incarcerated for a period of time. How long?
6 months, Your Honor.
And was that violation of probation? What was it for?
That was for a DUI.
Clearly not your first.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you and the defendant made up the following agreement. While you were incarcerated, the defendant was going to clean up your house where you had lived with your son. I assume this is the son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because the house is probably not fit for human beings with two men living there and not taking care of it. I assume that you knew that, and you told her that if she cleaned up the house and made it ready for renting, that when you got out of prison, you would move in with her and rent the house so that you would have some additional income. So far, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
The son was living in your house.
Yes.
The defendant and her daughter came to live in your house, and she did what she agreed to do, which was put your house in condition to be rented. Tell me what you did to get the house ready.
Your Honor, you're absolutely right. This house was a complete disaster. I had to have everything done to it. I had to have carpet cleaning. I had to have a maid come in and help clean the walls, the bathrooms. I had to have it painted.
How much of the house was painted?
The living rooms and the boys' bedroom.
Who paid for that?
The kitchen. I did.
Who paid for the renting of the dumpster and all that
I
other
did.
stuff?
I have all the receipts right here.
Okay. And that has nothing to do with your labor?
Nothing to do with my labor.
Then you started to have problems with Mr. Russell's son. What kind of problems did you have?
He was doing very bad in school. He was getting D's and F's. Ditching.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Stealing things, stealing cell phones, stealing money.
From whom?
People at the school, I guess. I assume his friends.
Jan down. Okay, so he was having some trouble. All right, so this is what happened, Mr. Russell. The defendant said, I can't deal with this. And he went to live with whom?
My grandparents.
You told Ms. Haig that this wasn't going to work out, that because she couldn't live with your son, you couldn't live with her, and that she would have to move back to her house, and you weren't going to rent your house because you were going to have to move back into your house with your son when you got out of jail. So far correct?
Somewhat correct, yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Haig left, and it is your claim that she wrote out 2 checks from your checkbook without your permission,
Correct.
and you want that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Defendant says, whatever checks I wrote out with your permission. I used them to cover certain expenses that I had. So let us assume, Mr. Russell, that Ms. Haig has bills in order to put your house in order. Did you compensate her for that?
Yes, Your Honor, somewhat
How?
I did.
Not somewhat. Did you
yes.
give her $3,000?
Not the whole $3,000, but close to it before I went in.
How much?
I gave her approximately $2,000 cash, bought her a new garage door, which she needed, and a trailer hitch of hers to be installed in my truck to haul her trailer to my house which she said she would leave into my truck if I paid that money, which she decided not to do.
So what you're telling me is, forgetting all the other fluff, you gave her $2,000 in cash.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he give you $2,000 in cash?
Approximately $2,000, I would say.
Okay. Tell me how much she wrote out of your checking account with the
She wrote two checks for $5,450. There was two checks, one for $4,800 and one for $650.
Did you give her permission to write out either one of those checks?
No, I did not. I asked her to mail me a blank check, and I would fill it out and give it back to her, which I've got
For
proof.
what?
For approximately $600, $700 for her efforts, just so we can call it even and depart on good terms.
Mr. Russell, you're making a few things up as we go along, sir. The way you said that to me, just for her efforts. What efforts are you talking about?
Her hauling stuff to the dump. She claimed cleaning the house, painting it.
Well, that's a big job, sir. How long did that take her to do?
I'm not really sure. She had one of my friends helping her do it at no cost.
Well, that's good. How long did it take you to put the house in order?
Over 2 months.
Was she there 2 months?
I don't believe she was living at my house because I was calling her when I was in jail at her house, and she was answering. So she was living at her house, but going to my house to do work.
Okay, so that would be the $650.
Approximately, yes. I was going to write her a check for it, but she decided to do it herself.
Okay. Now, you wrote one check for $4,800. What's that for?
The $4,800 he asked me to write because he was trying to get out of jail in a half time, and he wanted to say he had hardship. He needed to get out and support us, and he wasn't allowed to have any money in his bank. So I sent him a blank check, and the jail would not allow him to have it, and he told me to cash it and get the money out of his bank.
So then what did you do with it?
I kept $2,800 and I put $2,000 in his
What did you do
safe.
with the $2,800?
Paid my bills.
Oh, well, then you owe him that. You can't have it both ways. Do you understand? If he gave you $2,000 in cash and you took $2,800 to satisfy those bills, you can't have it twice. You following me?
Yes.
Good. Did she give you any money?
No, Your Honor, she didn't give me anything back.
Where did you put the money?
In his safe, inside his trailer. And I took his trailer, all his stuff back over to his house, and I gave the keys to his parents.
Your Honor, it's a little firebox with a broken lock. Doesn't even work.
It's not
a
little.
safe. It's very small, 1 foot by 1 foot, and there was nothing in it but my birth certificate and my son's birth certificate. The trailer wasn't broken into. It was all locked up. She didn't put anything back.
Right. I believe that. I believe she didn't put anything back. You want to know why she didn't put anything back? She didn't put anything back because she was very angry with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I understand that she was angry, but you can't steal your money.
Also,
I didn't steal his money. Your
Yes,
Honor.
you did.
No.
Also, in cleaning
Sure
up
you
my
did.
house, she threw away many things which she didn't have permission to throw away.
Well, that's your problem. You should have been more specific. You should have put red dots on everything that you wanted to keep. You told her to clean up your mess, and she cleaned up your mess.
The whole
Shouldn't
house
such
should have
a
been
mess.
thrown in the dump.
But you can't steal his money if you're
I didn't
angry.
steal his money, Your Honor.
Yes,
I
you
put it
should.
in there.
I don't believe
If
you.
anybody stole it, it's his
I don't
son.
believe you. I don't believe that somebody that after spending 2 months cleaning up somebody else's crap, you know, painting and cleaning and getting people over there and going to the dumpster and making 10 trips to the dumpster, and all of a sudden he says to you, sorry, babe, when I come out, it's over. And you say, all right, sweetheart, I'm going to take this money, I'm going to cash this check, I'm going to leave it all for you, you know, just take what I think is mine. You took what you thought you were entitled to. You can't do that. Things didn't work out, they didn't work out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen, there are women who spend 25 years cleaning up after a man and they end up with nothing. It only took you 2 months to end up with nothing.
And later today,
What kind of drugs were you abusing?
Meth.
That's serious stuff.
Very serious.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Russell says his ex-girlfriend, Patty Haig, stole his personal belongings and money while he was in jail. Patty claims everything she took was with Brian's permission.
Now, are you keeping the place neat?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm attempting to as best I can with 2 men there.
What does that mean? Are you suggesting to me that men are innately slobs?
I don't know if all are, but we are.
Why? You don't look like a slob, Mr. Russell. Look how nicely you're dressed. Got a nice shirt, you got a nice tie, your son's well dressed, he's got a nice clean shirt on, his hair is cut. As far as I can see, he doesn't have any piercings or anything else that I'm looking at, right?
I would consider my house very clean. If you walked in, you'd say it was probably so-so.
After I got done with it.
Yeah, well, didn't work out. Listen, there are women who spend 25 years cleaning up after a man and they end up with nothing. It only took you 2 months to clean up after your man to end up with nothing. Do you understand?
Yes.
You got to give him back his money. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,800. That's all. Step out.
Party's not excused. You may step out.
I think he's a little bit upset about his son not being there and us not being back together.
His grades were bad, but he actually improved them. He got 2 A's and 2 C's his last report card.
He doesn't clean up after himself. All I asked him to do was like pick up after himself.
I was kind of dirty, but I was probably doing 300% better than I usually do.
Next time when I meet someone and I do fall in love, to be careful. Don't leave all your possessions and everything in their control. Be a little more careful and watch your money.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hall versus Smith. Step forward.
Harriet Hall is suing the mother of her grandchild, 22-year-old Allie Smith, for the cost to care for her children after she failed a court-ordered drug test.
Miss Hall, you have a son.
Yes.
Your son made a baby with this lady.
Yes.
This lady had a child from another relationship.
Yes.
You get a call from this lady who says, listen, they're going to take both my kids because I had a positive drug test. Is that right?
Yes.
And would you help me out and take my children because otherwise they're going to go into foster care?
Yes.
You say okay. And you took both her children, your grandchild and her other child. How old?
2.5.
How long did you have the children with you?
Till March 19th. 4 months.
For how many? 4 months.
4 months.
You want Miss Smith to pay support for that child, not your grandchild, but for the other toddler for the 4 months that you had him, boy?
Yes.
And Miss Smith says that there was never an agreement to pay you for either of the children, so she has no obligation to pay you. Is that your defense?
Yes.
You don't have to have an agreement with her.
She didn't ask for any money. She has never asked me for any money until last month when
Well-
I got this thing in the mail saying that I owed her money.
You mean she never asked you for any support? For
Never.
The child? What month did your 2 children go to live with Miss Hall?
December 6th of 2006.
What kind of drugs were you abusing?
Meth.
That's serious stuff.
Very serious.
Did you go into a residential drug treatment program?
No, ma'am. I went to outpatient treatment. I've been clean now for 13 months.
You working?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Great. Your 2 children with you?
Yes, ma'am.
You living on your own?
Yes, ma'am.
Who takes care of the children when you're working?
I have a daycare provider.
All that sounds right to you?
No.
You mean she's not working?
She is working.
She's taking care of her children? They live with her?
Yes.
She has her children in daycare when she's working?
Yes.
So what doesn't sound right to you?
That she wouldn't pay.
Well, I'm not talking about paying. I'm talking about the fact that 13 months later, she seems to be doing very well, right?
Yes.
Why all of a sudden, after 13 months, are you suing her?
Because she's working now and she can help pay me back for the support that I did on Aiden.
Okay. That's reasonable. Did you ever ask her to help you with the support?
Yeah, she said she would the day that I got the kids.
Well, she was pretty messed up. She was using very, very heavy drug. When she got the children back, did you discuss with her finances?
No, I haven't.
So when for the first time since she got the children back, was she aware of the fact that you wanted her to pay you back for some of the expenses for the child? Did you just serve her with a summons?
Yes.
Why?
Because I felt that she owed for the kids. I took them on extra visits for her. I've done a lot
I
for
understand
her.
that, but weren't you seeing your granddaughter?
Yeah, but she wouldn't let me have her anymore. Now just my son. I have to take my son to pick her up. I can't see her.
Why?
Because she doesn't like me, I guess. I don't know.
Why?
Because she would come to my house and she would throw little fits. She would call people and tell them that I had people living with me that I didn't have living with me. The only reason she did this with the summons is because I wouldn't let her son claim our daughter on his taxes.
You mean for last year?
For 2007. I had them for 9 months out of the year, and I didn't think that
Does he pay support?
Yes, he does.
How much does he pay?
About $400 a month.
Why don't you work something out with him so that 1 year you can claim it and 1 year he can claim it?
Maybe, yeah.
Well,
we
doesn't that
never
sound
even,
reasonable?
me and him discussed it, and we were fine with it. It was when she had come over and said that Gene was upset with me, so I don't know.
Miss
Me and
Hall,
him would discuss it.
Your mistake is that I wouldn't have served her with a summons, since clearly you care for your granddaughter. You wanted to help her out, but you also wanted your granddaughter in a safe place. So that's what you're supposed to do as a grandmother, to make sure that your grandchild is safe. The fact that you took her other child was very nice of you. Why didn't your other child go with your mother?
Because my mother couldn't take them.
Couldn't take even one of them?
No.
Okay.
And also, she was my son's grandmother before my daughter was even born. If he walked into this courtroom today, he would definitely call her grandma.
Well, she took care of him.
Right.
Okay, you do understand that whether or not you had an agreement with her, you owe her for your son's necessaries. She's not seeking any money for your daughter,
right,
but only for your son. So whether or not you had an agreement with her, the law says that you have to pay her for some of the child's necessary expenses.
Okay.
Now, where is the father of that child?
He's not in the picture.
Okay. How much do you claim that you spent on this child?
For rent.
Forget rent.
$2,200.
Tell me what it was for.
Okay, rent was $750.
Forget rent.
And December.
Listen to me. Did you move?
Okay. Yes,
you
I
move?
moved from my mother's to my sister's because we didn't have enough bedrooms at my mom to deal with the kids. So I moved in with my sister.
You were living with your mother?
Yes, because I was taking care of her.
Tell me the living situation in your sister's house with you and the children. Where did everybody sleep?
Okay, Aiden had a bedroom upstairs, and Addison and I had a bedroom together upstairs. And we had use of the washer, the dryer, the kitchen.
Just a second. How much did you pay in check or cash to your sister each week or month?
Each week I paid $100.
Or $400
a month.
And how many months were you with your sister?
We were there 103 days.
How many months were you
4.
with your sister? So you paid her a total of $1,600. Is that correct?
It wasn't exactly 4 months. It was a week short of 4 months. Aiden was there 15 weeks. So what she paid for him was $750. What she paid total would have been $1,500.
Okay, so $1,500. And you are ascribing half of that to her child?
Well, he had one room, she had one room.
I don't care. That's 3 people. What difference does it make?
I rented out by the room.
I don't care. That's a judgment that she made. They could have all stayed in one room. Okay, so
Not
let's
according
say...
to DHS.
Well, you certified as a multiple dwelling? Are you certified? Is your home certified as a multiple
ma'am.
dwelling? Right. So that's $500. What else?
Then in December, I didn't have protective daycare until January. So I paid for daycare out of my pocket. And for December, we turned in for $380, and they paid $190 of it.
How much?
For Addison's, but they did not pay Aiden's $190.
They did not?
No.
Why?
Because he was not my grandson.
So that's $690. What else?
Okay, and then mileage for daycare.
Forget it.
Okay. And diapers and miscellaneous was $320.
Yeah.
And then we bought clothes and shoes for him and stuff. We estimated $160.
Where are the receipts for that?
I didn't bring no receipts for clothing and shoes.
So far, she owes you $990.
And then we bought toys and books and stuff for him.
Did you return them to her when you gave them back?
We gave him some of the
No,
toys
no.
and some of it, not all of it.
If you didn't give it back to his mother, then you don't get paid for it.
Yeah. But I gave her clothes and shoes and all that stuff that I bought.
Well, show me the receipts.
I didn't bring receipts.
Well, this is what you're supposed
Part
to
of
bring.
them were gifts for Christmas.
Don't shout out. I believe that the defendant owes you some money for taking care of her child. It is apparent to me that some of the money that you would like to claim that she owes you was money that was spent jointly for both children. You were going to take your granddaughter to daycare anyway, so the mileage is ridiculous to try to have her pay for. She's a woman who has put her life back in order. She's been self-supporting. She takes care of her 2 children. How much do you pay for daycare?
I don't. It's provided by the state.
Great. How much do you earn?
I'm about $450 every 2 weeks.
Okay. Plaintiff is seeking $2,200 from you. I think that that's excessive.
Very.
I think that for rent and food stuff, your portion of that should be $990. And that includes a portion for rent, some for food, clothing, and miscellaneous stuff. Really comprises the rest, and the daycare.
With the clothing, toys, they didn't bring anything home with him. The only thing that they brought home with him, when I got them back on March 19th, I sent him with a basket of clothes, and that was exactly what they brought back. The basket of clothes with his movies in the bottom. It looked as if they never even touched it, and that was all that had come home with him.
I'm sure that they did touch it because he went to daycare, and I'm sure if he was not clean and well kept and everything else, the daycare would have registered a complaint, which they did. But that's what you owe her. Okay. And I think that it's great that you're in a position now to help her.
Right.
And I'm sure you thank her and are grateful that she kept the kids out of foster care, both of the kids out of foster care. And it's wonderful that you put yourself back together. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $990. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
How old are you, Mr. Hollis?
23, Your Honor.
And you, Mr. Martocci?
24, Your Honor.
What do you do to occupy your days, Mr. Hollis?
I'm a full-time student at Christopher Newport University, and I'm also in the United States Army Reserve.
So you're a student?
Yes, ma'am.
And you?
I'm also a student, Your Honor, and also in the Air National Guard.
Is this a roommate of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old is he?
26.
And what does he do to occupy his time?
He's a student, and he's also a realtor.
And how many people rented this house?
Myself and 3 others, Your Honor.
4 young men?
Yes, ma'am.
All in their 20s?
Yes, ma'am.
And from what genius did you rent this house?
I'm the owner, Your Honor.
You are the genius who's the owner.
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you pay for this house, Mr. Hollis?
$205,000, Your Honor.
How much did you put down?
$20,000.
Where'd you get it from?
From my deployment in Bosnia.
Did you have a good time in the house?
We have, yes.
Do you have nice parties?
We've had several, yes, ma'am.
Now, at one of the parties, it is your claim that the defendant caused some damage, and he was a tenant of yours. He rented a room.
Yes, ma'am.
He's no longer a tenant. You want him to pay for that damage.
Correct.
Second thing you want him to pay for is rent for the month of April, because he moved out
Yes, ma'am.
mid-month,
Right.
and you want him to pay for that month
Right.
that he moved out. And Mr. Martosi says he's not paying your rent. He didn't like what was going on in the house, and he didn't cause any damage to your property. Somebody else did. And he also says that somebody vandalized a motorcycle that he left in your garage by putting a hole in the gas tank, and he figures that was you. So he's got a counterclaim. Now, Mr. Martosi,
Yes, ma'am.
you lived in this house until what point in April?
April 20th.
Did you pay April's rent?
No, ma'am.
You're gonna pay April's rent. Do you understand? Your behind was there in the month of April. You pay rent.
Yes, ma'am.
See how easy that was? Rent. And how much was your share of the rent?
It was $400, but after I had moved out and I had come back, I found my motorcycle, which was originally...
I'll get to your counterclaim in a second,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am.
Right now, you're going to pay him his rent, which you should have paid it first of the month anyway.
Well, I also had tuition assistance coming in that wasn't always on time, and
That's
it could
whose
come back.
problem is that? It's not your landlord's problem.
But he knew about this, and he
I
had
don't
to
care
split
what
it
he
back.
knew. He's supposed to pay him rent at the beginning of the month. Did I ask you a question?
No.
Perfect. $400. That's what you owe him for rent. So far, so good, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let me hear about the damaged property.
I have pictures of it here.
Just tell me about it, sir. I'll do your show and tell in a minute.
He was in a fight in a party that I was not even at. They had some friends over. They had a fight in the garage.
Well, then you weren't there.
I was there, Your Honor.
Perfect. Stand up. What's your name?
My name is Timothy Baggett. Timothy. Yes.
Just take your hands out of your pockets.
Sorry.
You never know what you have in your pockets. All right. When was this party, Timothy?
This party was approximately June of 2006, the first month or two he lived in. It was a graduation party.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, the party took place. It was for a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours. He was drunk and
Anybody else drunk?
I'm sure.
Oh, it's not an answer.
Several people were drunk at the
Go
party,
ahead.
I'm sure.
Keep going.
So he wanted to get his keys back, and Mr. Martoci stepped in and said a few things to him. The fight broke out in the garage. I was there witnessing the fight. At one point, the fight tumbled over and bumped into the garage, breaking the window out. And that's the damage that was done in the garage.
Well, who caused the damage?
Well,
Look at me. Who
Yes.
caused the damage?
I was standing there watching, and they bumped into me, pushing me into the garage window. However,
Just a
so
second.
technically, my back went through the window. Technically.
Technically.
Yes.
Perfect. Go ahead. Let me hear.
He was actually involved in the fight because it was a pretty big guy that was in it, and it took two of us to take him down. He was actually involved the whole time, not just standing by.
Okay. What else?
There's a trench in the side of my yard where Mr. Martoci parked his Tahoe. There was a rain that night, and when he left, he spun tires in the yard, leaving a trench. Also, his room still has nails in it and writing on the walls. I don't know why he wrote on the walls, but he did. Also, holes in it and a hole in the door that he punched.
Can you explain to me why absolutely nothing of this is in your complaint? The only thing that's in your complaint is a shattered window, sir.
I thought I had
Here,
it
I'll
all
show
in
you
there.
your complaint. Here. Other than
In August 2006.
Other than the August of 2006, you say he also pulled his truck into the front yard and put a huge trench on the ground. That's August of 2006.
Right.
He moved out a year later.
Right.
Why, a year and a half later, do you sue him for making a hole in your lawn?
The tenant left damages to his room.
I'd asked him several times while he was living there to do it, and since we were already going to court about it, I just put it all in there together.
How much did it cost you to fix the trench where he made a
I
hole?
haven't fixed it yet, but I have an estimate.
You have a picture of it?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
It's the top picture, Your Honor.
You have estimates to fix this? I'll come over myself, put a little dirt in, and throw some seed over it. Right?
Right.
Get over it. He owes you for rent, $400. What else?
The bills that he neglected to pay for the month of April and also some in March.
What bills did he neglect to pay in March?
In March, there was a power bill and also the wastewater treatment and the Newport News Water Works runs for 2 months.
Did you pay the utilities in March?
No.
How much do you owe him for the utilities in March?
He says I owe him $122.50, but the receipts that he showed me, some were post-dated even after I left.
Okay, so how much do you owe him?
If anything, like $75 approximately.
Well, is that how much your utilities were for the months that you were living there?
Yes and no, depending on the power bill and everything else that went on in the house.
He owes you for the utilities. What else?
That's it, Your Honor. The utilities, the rent, and the damages.
Damage to his room.
Fine. The damages you don't get, sir. The damages you talk to him about, you talk to the other person about, but you don't blame one person for a fight that broke out in your house. And as a matter of fact, he was involved. Put your hand down.
Yes.
Put your hand down. Yes. He was there. He was involved in it. He was the one who broke the window. 2 other people may have pushed him into a window, but there was an altercation, and you weren't there.
Right.
And for the year or more that he lived there was no lawsuit about that window.
Right.
Right.
But also his room, the walls were destroyed in his room.
Yes.
I never destroyed the rooms. The most I did was hang up a couple pictures. And the writings, I don't remember any kind of writings that it could have been.
Well, maybe he wants to show you a picture.
I
Now
have
that
pictures.
you say you don't remember, you want to look at a picture? Okay. Show him the picture of the writings on the wall.
I believe it was done to level.
There is a line. There's a line where I hung a picture.
Could I see it?
And I don't know where that hole came from in the door.
Where's the writing on the wall, sir? Is this what you're showing me, a line?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a hole in the door as well.
Mr. Hollis, he owes you $500 for the rent and the utilities. Now let's get to anything else that I have to deal with. Damages to motorcycle and other personal property.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's a lot of baloney, Mr. Martosi.
Besides that,
That's a lot of baloney, what you just told me.
And later today,
Your former husband was not required to pay child support as long as the statute was not satisfied?
It doesn't have a particular grade point average?
It doesn't have to have a grade point average. He had a grade point average of 0.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Billy Joe Hollis says former tenant Jason Martosi owes for unpaid rent and bills and for damage to his home. Jason is countersuing, claiming Billy Joe intentionally damaged his motorcycle.
You had an accident with your motorcycle,
yes.
and your motorcycle was not working.
I was fixing it up in Mr. Hollis's garage.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
When you moved out, did you take your motorcycle?
Not immediately.
The answer would be, no, Your Honor, I didn't take my motorcycle.
Correct.
What did you take when you moved out?
The rest of my belongings. He knew I needed...
Don't tell me what he knew.
I needed transportation to transport my bike to my new house.
Because it didn't?
It wasn't running.
And it wasn't running because?
Because it needed a new brake lever, and I wasn't going to ride it without a brake lever.
That's a lot of baloney, Mr. Martosi.
Besides that...
That's a lot of baloney, what you just told me.
Well, as far as repairing the bike, the fairings were damaged in the accident.
Okay, so the bearings are down. It wasn't a foot brake. The bearings were broken.
It was the fairings on the side of the bike, the right side.
Yeah.
The hand lever for the
Yeah.
brake, and the mirror. Nothing was wrong with the gas tank. The gas tank was still fully intact.
Perfect. And when you went back to pick it up, when? When did you go back to pick it up?
A couple weeks after I had moved out. They had taken the bike, and it was sitting in the backyard on its side with a newly formed hole in the gas tank.
And who did that?
Billy.
How do you
Billy
know?
Joe.
How do you know?
I
proof do
think
you
he's
have?
just mad because apparently...
Just a second. Tell me what proof you have that Mr. Hollis in any way damaged your motorcycle.
Somebody in that house had to have damaged my motorcycle.
That's possible. That's not proof.
And as far as who to blame, since it was his house, he knew it was my bike, and it was in his garage.
It's not his responsibility. As a matter of fact, he could have taken it and thrown it out. You hadn't paid rent. You abandoned the property. You left it there.
I was
You
never
left-
banned
Listen,
from the property.
Yes, you did. Sir, you didn't pay rent in April. He could have taken all of the stuff that you left behind and thrown it in the garbage. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Period. That's what he could have done. So, unless you have proof that he intentionally vandalized your motorcycle, you haven't given me proof. All you said is, well, somebody in the house must have done it, right? Because I assume the garage is a locked garage, right?
Correct.
And when you left it in a locked garage.
Correct.
And only the people who live in the house can get into the garage. Is that right?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Right, Your Honor. And when he moved, he also kept his keys, so I had to change the locks.
So that it had to be somebody in the house.
Correct.
Or a guest of somebody in the house.
And they had lots of guests over.
And they had lots of guests over. I can't help you with that, sir. What else?
I had damage to wooden chairs, approximately $100 a piece, foosball tables. I had collectible posters.
Did you take all that stuff with you?
It was damaged, and I
Did
took
you
it out of
take
the
it
house.
with you?
Yes.
Do you have pictures of it?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Goodbye. you owe him $500. That is for your rent and utilities for the month of March, rent for the month of April. You got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
As far as living in the house, they basically turned it into a frat house.
Oh, that's ridiculous. His best friend's 19, and he passed out drunk every night on the couch.
When we had parties breaking of my property,
Blatant lie.
they basically just, dusted off their shoulder and didn't think anything of it.
It feels like he's just reaching, trying not to pay.
Basically get a more mature roommate.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeGuire versus Stafford. Step forward.
Steve DeGuire is suing his ex-wife, Kimberly Stafford, for the return of child support. Steve claims that Kimberly has been defrauding him for over a year.
Mr. DeGuire, let's see if we can resolve this today.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Miss Stafford is your former wife, and you have one child. Or
Yes.
you have a child together, a boy. I assume that's this young man right here?
Yes.
You've been divorced for how long?
It's been 18, 19, 20 years. It's been a long time, since 89.
And you've been paying child support since the divorce?
Yes.
And it is your claim that you made several payments of child support after your son turned 18.
Yes.
That you shouldn't have because he was not successfully enrolled in college. And your former wife says, well, he's trying. It's pretty much your defense. What does your judgment of divorce provide for with regard to child support, Mr. DeGuire?
The original divorce decree called for $50 a week, and 89, or no, it was 93, I think it was. It was raised to $467 a month.
Okay. And is that what it remained?
Yes.
And until when are you supposed to pay child support, sir, under the
Until
divorce
he is
decree?
emancipated. Under the state statute, he was supposed to keep a certain grade point average, and he...
Okay, now, emancipation occurs at different points. I assume it's 18, where you are, unless certain criteria are met.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of that state statute?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it because I was surprised by your interpretation of it. It seems rather subjective. Let me take a look at it. Stand up, young man. Tell me your first name.
Ryan,
How old are you, Ryan?
19,
After your parents divorced, did you have regular visits with your dad?
every weekend.
Get along okay?
Every other weekend. Yeah, everything
Get
went
along
fine.
okay?
Yeah.
Great. This statute, do you know what it says? Well, it says that despite the fact that you turned 18, if you're attending a school and successfully complete at least 12 credits, then your dad is supposed to continue to pay his child support until you reach 21. That's what it says.
Okay.
So let's go to last year. What school were you going to?
Jefferson Community College.
Was that your first year of college?
Yeah.
Did you successfully complete 12 credits
No.
in either semester?
No.
How many credits did you successfully complete?
0.
Why?
I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Halfway through my first semester, I changed my major.
Who did you discuss that with?
One of my counselors and
Discuss it with your mother?
my mother, yes.
And when your grades came after the first semester, what kind of discussion did you have with your mother?
That I just needed to try better and to actually figure out what I needed to do. And
So you failed everything.
Right.
And what about the second semester? Now you've changed your major.
And the second semester, same thing.
Miss Stafford.
Yes.
Were you aware of the fact that your former husband was not required to pay child support as long as the statute was not satisfied, which seems pretty detailed?
It does, but to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't have a particular grade point average that...
Doesn't have to have a grade point average. He had a grade point average of 0.
Ryan
this
enrolled-
is not a very subjective test.
Right.
It says, so long as the child enrolls for and completes at least 12 hours of credit each semester. Well, he did not complete 12 hours of credit his first semester, and he did not complete 12 hours of credit his second semester.
And the college allows him to re-enroll?
Just a second.
Okay.
Well, that's true, but it says as long as he completes 12 hours of credit each semester and achieves grades sufficient to re-enroll at such institution. Achieves grades.
I understand that.
So, that being the case, you are absolutely 100% correct that Ms. Stafford should return to you, under this statute, all the support that you paid after he turned 18. That's it. There's no issue. Now let's see if we can resolve it. How many children do you have, Mr. DeGuire?
Altogether, counting him, 4.
Is he the oldest?
Yes.
And I assume that from what your son says, you enjoy a good relationship with him.
Yes, it's been very good. Very good.
Great. And I assume you want him to be successful.
Yes, I do.
So why don't we do this? He's 19 years old. I don't think pursuant to this, and you're entitled to your money back, which you're going to get. But pursuant to your moral parental responsibility, not your legal parental responsibility, how about we do this? How about if your son enrolls in school and he successfully completes 12 credits, you give that money directly to him and he gives it to his mother towards the tuition when he shows you his GPA. Would that be satisfactory
That would be
to you,
satisfactory.
sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound fair to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound fair to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're starting school in September again?
Yes.
And your father wants you to succeed?
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother wants you to succeed?
Yes,
Do you live at home?
Yes.
When you show your dad your GPA in December, if you successfully complete 12 credits, and he's prepared to accept C's, right?
As long as he's passing.
Then he's going to be putting the money away, $467 a month. He's going to give that money to you, and your mother's going to expect you to turn that money over to her to defray the expenses of you living there, because that's what the statute seems to say. It doesn't provide for a hiatus. But I think from a moral perspective, if you've had a wonderful relationship with him up until this point, you want him to succeed. And if he needed an extra year to do it, I'm sure you want him to have a little bit of wiggle room. He did not do the right thing. And if he was blowing off school and certainly getting 24 credits of F's, suggests he could have been working in a gas station. Could have been working in Burger King. I mean, what do you have to be walking around school for? He wasn't even going. So he doesn't get any stars for that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,868. With your agreement, sir, that when you see that GPA that is at least a 2.0, he gets the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Fair?
That's fair.
Very good. We'll draw up an order. Thank you.
Parties are disputed. You may step out.
4 different dates.
How many times have you had court fines?
None.
Really? No assaults, no disturbing the peace, no traffic violations, no nothing?
Ma'am. None.
That urge to nest is very strong. Got to raise your sights a little bit. Do you understand?
Got that now.
Okay. So you took out a loan with a very high interest rate. How much did you take out?
$2,500.
What'd you do with the rest of the money? He only needed $1,300.
The original amount that we thought we needed was about $1,500, but that was not including the interest that had accrued from the time we pulled the records until I went to actually pay them once I got the loan. So it ended up being more. Then on top of those fines, we also paid for his lawyer for the court date.
Is that
Which
right?
I paid for. I paid the lawyer, Your Honor.
I have it on
Just a
here.
second.
I have the
For
check
what?
stub.
What did you pay the lawyer with?
With my hard-earned money.
Show me a bank statement. You paid him by check, I'm sure.
No, it was cash.
No, you don't pay a lawyer by cash. Not if you're working. Are you working off the books?
No, ma'am.
So you work on the books. So you get a salary. They take out taxes. If you pay a lawyer,
Right.
you pay the lawyer by check.
Right.
Right.
And she was with me when I paid it cash.
I have the receipt right here made out to the lawyer
Can I see
for
it,
the
please?
full $250 amount that we had to pay him.
It was more than $250, Your Honor.
Well, then maybe she only paid part of it. What's your lawyer's name?
Olson.
That's it. Maybe his fee was more than $250.
I know it was.
So she only paid $250. You may have paid the
Which
rest.
I gave her the money for it, Your Honor.
Oh, well, that's not what you told me. You just
Right,
told
she
me
may have the
just
receipts.
a second. Listen to me, sir. That's not what you just told me. You just told me she was right there when I paid the lawyer in cash. Now you're telling me that she paid part of the lawyer, but you gave her money in cash.
When we went to court, she was there when I paid it. It was a payment. We had to pay half up front and then the final remainder when we went to court. The half up front was, you know, we were still living together, whatever. I always gave her money. She just took care of everything. And that's why she has all the receipts and has her paperwork together.
You paid him half. She paid him the other half.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your excuse, Mr. Davis, is I told her not to take it out, and despite my advice, she took it out anyway.
That is not-
That's what you wrote here. That's what you wrote here.
And later today,
What you do when you have hardships is you say, I will faithfully send you $50 a month. You don't blow him off. That's unreasonable because then he gets irritated.
But he doesn't listen.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephanie Strayer says her ex-boyfriend Chris Davis owes for rent, court fines, and for totaling her car. Chris is countersuing for the return of his property
and moving costs.
How much were the fines altogether? The fines without the lawyer?
I don't have the receipts because he has them. I don't have the exact amount. I know it was closer to $2,000 with the interest.
Do you have the receipts?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Why not?
I misplaced them, and it was not $2,000. The fines totaled up like $1,300-something, $1,400, and the remainder
Just a
of the
second.
thing.
A moment ago, you told me $1,300.
It was like 13-something. The exact amount, ma'am, I'm not quite sure of. All I know is we had discussed the remainder of the loan, the excess money. We had agreed that we were going to pay back the lender to reduce the interest on the loan. Then instead, that never even happened.
Just a second. Let's say between your lawyer and your loans, it was $2,000.
The loan had nothing to do with the lawyer, Your Honor. The loan went toward the fines. There's a remainder of the loan that had nothing to do with the lawyer.
How much?
It was like $1,200 still left over, and that went toward bills.
That's very
and
hard because you just told me that your fines were close to $1,400.
I don't know the exact amount. I know it was 13-something.
How much does he owe you on the loan?
$2,678.51.
And what was the interest rate on this loan?
99%.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
You understand that?
Yes.
It's a ridiculous amount of money, but
I
he used
agree.
the money. And your excuse, Mr. Davis, is I told her not to take it out, and despite my advice, she took it out anyway.
That is not.
That's what you wrote here. That's what you wrote here.
That is not entirely true. I knew that she was going to be taking out a loan. I didn't know the interest rate on it until afterwards, and she said that, that she really had no choice, that she was up against the wall on the situation.
And you
she
just
took the
should have
loan
said, I'm
anyway.
not taking the money from you. Go return it immediately so that you don't have any interest.
Right.
If you didn't want to take it. You chose to take it. You got to pay for it.
I did pay for it, Your Honor.
No, you didn't pay the whole thing.
Since the loan was taken out, I paid her every month for that loan, up until the point of about October.
Let me see the balance on the loan, please.
There's the
Did you ever take out a loan before?
Here's how much was.
Did you ever take out a loan before?
Not this type of loan, no.
Any kind of loan?
I've taken a car loan.
Car loan,
Yeah.
but this kind of loan?
No, yeah. That was the loan that I got to pay the... I ended up having to take a new loan out to pay that one off because I did not want to pay that ridiculous interest rate for the next 3 years. So the amount he would have ended up paying, if you see on there, is $9,700 and something. But because I actually paid it off with a loan from my parents, which they're even charging me an interest rate, but nothing like 99%, he's actually getting out about $7,000 off of it that he would have ended up having to pay.
Which I'm not responsible for the interest, Your Honor.
Yes,
I'm not.
you are.
I didn't ask her to take out 100% interest.
Then you shouldn't have
loan.
taken the money. You should have returned it to her.
Well,
You should have returned it to her.
You're right. I should have.
Well, you didn't.
But I paid the
She's not going to be behind the 8 ball for your traffic, assault, disturbing the peace, and whatever else you don't remember.
Your Honor, that was
That's
a
not
long
her
time
problem.
ago. I know, it's
so
not her
so far
problem.
you owe her $3,528. Now you have a counterclaim. The rent you're forgetting about, because so am I. The rent you let him move in because you felt sorry for him. Now you have a counterclaim, Mr. Davis. I have 1 minute to hear your ridiculous counterclaim. You want a barbecue grill that you left there?
My girl was left there, but that's not the main issue. When we first broke up, she said I could live with her for a while. I knew it wasn't going to work out, so I lived with my sister for a little while. It wasn't to move there at all. I came back within a very short period of time, moved back in with her. She said I could stay with her until Christmas, until her cousin moved in. We had a couple fights, a couple altercations where, I wasn't really welcome there anymore. And I knew that I had to leave anyway, but I didn't have enough money to get my own place. So she said, Chris, I'll give you 30 days to get your own place. And I said, thank you. And then within a week later, she told me I had to get out.
What happened?
Just altercations, fights. We just
Well,
couldn't get
then
along.
that's a very smart thing that you got out, sir, because with the disturbing the peace and assault and other things on
Your
your
Honor, that has
record, it
nothing to
would
do-
not have been a good idea for you to stay there if you were having altercations, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,528. Your counterclaim is dismissed because what you want is all the aggravation and the moving expenses that you had moving within that 30-day period. That was a very good idea. She did you a favor. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I had nothing to prove. I had no paperwork,
He got what he deserved,
She had her ducks lined in a row. I lost, so.
and I'll definitely never let that happen again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hall versus Hall. Step forward, please.
Ronnie Hall is suing his former daughter-in-law, Sylvia Hall, for the unpaid balance on a PT Cruiser. Ronnie says that Sylvia totaled the vehicle and pocketed the insurance money.
Mr. Hall, this young lady is your former daughter-in-law.
Yes, ma'am.
She was married to your son, and I think they have a child. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you sold her the car because she needed transportation. She was living away from you. She was living away from your son, and she needed some help.
Yes, ma'am.
She was supposed to sell her old car, which was not reliable, and give you the money from that sale, and then start to make payments on the car when she could.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
had agreed on a price, which was, I believe, $6,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Which was well below the book value of the car.
Yes, ma'am. ma'am.
So far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You turned the car over to her when, sir?
June of '06.
And you had the car for how long?
I had it for about a month.
And then you totaled it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you got an insurance payment for it?
I did.
How much?
A little over $6,000.
What do you mean a little over? Give me the amount that you got.
I have a check here, less the deductible. So it was $5,942.82.
And you sold your old car?
I did.
And how much did you get for that?
It was roughly around $1,000.
Okay. So we acknowledge that you purchased the car. We acknowledge that he drove the car, turned it over to you, turned over all the paperwork, signed it over to you, even though you hadn't paid him a penny, relying on you to make payments, the first one being when you sold your old car. When did you sell your old car?
It was around July.
Was it before or after you totaled the car?
It was before.
Why didn't you send him the $1,000? That's what you would promise.
Well, the person that I sold the car to was a younger kid, and he was making payments on it. So I didn't get a substantial check. And I was behind on a lot of my bills. I separated from my husband in 2005, had to start all over, and I was severely behind. I was in an apartment that I couldn't afford. I couldn't afford to send Ronnie the money.
Does that mean that you just don't owe the money?
No, I know. I know I should have sent him money, but I just didn't have it at the time to give it to him.
Did you call him and tell him that?
I did. Anytime he called me, I would tell him what was going on in my life, and then I would tell him maybe if I can get things back in order, maybe by July I'll have some money for you. And then things just kept happening. I lost my job. I got sick. I just got diagnosed with lupus. I've had all kinds of medical expenses to take care of. Single mom of a child. I was totally honest with him about everything.
But the problem is you got a check for $6,000.
Right. I had to buy another car.
Well, what happened when you totaled the car and got this check for $6,000? Did you call him and tell him?
He asked me how much I got for the car. I told him. I said, I'm shopping for another vehicle, one that's cheaper. And if I can get some money to you, I would. But we never agreed on a payment plan. He just said, worry about it whenever we worry about it. He said, worry later.
Well, that's not forgiving the loan. You said he forgave the loan.
Well, he said to use the money for the car and said that we'll worry about it later.
Fine. So he was letting you get caught up. So when did you start to make payments?
I made one payment whenever I could, and that was the $200.
When was that?
That was the beginning of this year sometime, like in March.
I mean, are you telling me that you couldn't send him $20 a month?
He wouldn't accept it. I tell him that my mom, he had a conversation with my mother and said that I can send him $50 a month. He didn't want that. He said that's not enough. I can't afford anything else.
That conversation just happened. She called me the day she received the papers and said, you need to call my mother immediately. I wrote the number down. I called her mother. And the reason I wrote the number down and called her mother was several times during the time that I was trying to get payments on this vehicle, she said she was going to try to get a loan from her mother. So it was under my assumption that when she said, take this number and call my mom, that her mother was going to pay me the money. And that's why I immediately wrote the number down and called her mother. All her mother said to me for 45 minutes was that I needed to forgive this loan. That was the entire conversation.
Didn't say anything to you about paying $50 a month?
No.
If she had said to you, I will faithfully pay you $50 a month, what would you have said?
Great.
He called me several times at work over the process of this past year, and I would be at work. I couldn't speak to him about the issues because I was at work. I had clients in front of me. I'd say, Ronnie, I can't pay you right now. I have this and this going on. I will pay you as soon as I can.
Yeah, but he wanted a time. Miss Hall, you're very sympathetic, but you also have to understand you made an agreement with him.
I understand.
And he's not a party to your problems. You have the father of your child who may be a party to your problems. You have a mother who may be a party to your problems. But he made a business arrangement with you, and he was very flexible with you. And I don't see any good faith basis to alter the agreement that you had, which was that you would pay him $1,000 when you sold the car, your old car, which you didn't do. You didn't even send him the payments that the young man was making to you when you sold him the car, which you should have, because you used that money for other things. And then when you got this windfall from the insurance company for a car that you never paid for, you spent the money. You bought another car, and then you spent the rest.
I didn't just spend it frivolously. I have a daughter to take care of. I have medical bills. I'm just saying I've had hardships that I couldn't pay him the money.
I understand that. What you do when you have hardships is you say, I can send you and will faithfully send you $50 a month. I know it should be more, but I will faithfully send you $50 a month. You don't blow him off. That's unreasonable, because then he gets irritated.
But he doesn't listen. That's the thing. It's like he'd call me at work. I'd tell him whenever I would be able to.
No, you told him I couldn't talk to him at work because I had clients in front of me.
I know. Well, I would tell him that. I'd say, I'm going to try and send you some money.
Did you call
at
him back?
Time.
Did you say to him, Miss Hall, I can't talk to you right now, Ronnie. I'll call you lunchtime. I'll call you at home in the evening.
I didn't.
You did not.
I did not.
You did not, because you were just as happy to get him off your back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, which is all that I could award you here, sir. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may Ellison versus Altman. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Thank you, Brad. How old are you, Mr. Ellison?
I'm 19.
And where do you live?
I live in Abilene,
Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you work or go to school?
Yes, ma'am. I move furniture.
According to your complaint, you were gambling at the defendant's gambling establishment, playing slot machines, and you hit a jackpot.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Altman refuses to pay you the jackpot.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Altman says that you cheated, somehow rigged this machine,
Yeah.
and he doesn't pay cheats.
Yeah.
Mr. Altman, I want you to tell me what kind of gambling establishment this is.
Judge, it's strictly games, machines. There's no tables, nothing like that.
What is the policy with regard to paying out jackpots when somebody wins in the establishment where Mr. Ellison allegedly won the jackpot?
Our policy is that if it's after 5 p.m. and over $300, they have to wait till noon the next day to get paid.
Is that posted someplace?
I'm going to show you a picture of it right now,
Good.
Judge.
I assume it's a dated picture. When did you win the jackpot, Mr. Ellison?
I went on July 26th.
Okay. That doesn't show me anything, Mr. Altman.
Okay.
You show me where that's posted.
I'd have to take you to Abilene and show
No,
you
you
where it's
wouldn't have to.
posted.
You don't have to take me anywhere. All you had to do was take a picture of where it was posted, not a sign that you just made up. Aside from the fact that in your answer, Mr. Altman, you don't say it was posted. You just said it was policy. You can give that back to him. It's useless. And Mr. Altman knows it's useless. You see, Mr. Altman, because if you're a businessman, and I assume that you've been in court before on something, so you know that if you sign an affidavit, you would want to put in the most important thing in the affidavit, which is that prominently out there, right under the office, is a big sign that says any jackpot over $300 that's hit after 5 o'clock has to wait till the next day. But you don't say that here, sir. You didn't say that anywhere in your answer.
Okay.
You just brought me a lot of nonsense there. That, who are you?
I'm his daughter.
That your daughter put together for you. Now. See, you didn't think I'd be so smart. You thought only smart people live in Texas. They grown smart in Brooklyn, too.
Right.
Now, was this the first time you were in this gambling establishment?
No, ma'am. I've been in there over 5 times. I've
And
won.
who are these people?
This is my girlfriend and my friend.
Were they with you?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what game you were playing on July 26th.
I was playing a Keno. It has all kinds of games on it. And Bobby had a guy up there working for him.
Who's Bobby?
Bobby
Mr.
right
Altman?
here. Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
He had a guy up there working for him that seen me feed them machines with money, put money in money, because that's all I do is gamble whenever I got free time. And I hit a jackpot. It was, well, it didn't come right off the bat. It had 4 kings, and the jackpot's 5 kings. I hit 4 of a kind, and I hit the draw button to draw another card, and it hit a king. And the guy working looked at me and said that the guy ain't gonna pay you the money.
Don't tell me what he said. So you hit the 5 kings. And what time was this?
About 4 o'clock.
Were you with him?
Yes, ma'am.
You stand up here. What's so funny?
No.
What's your name?
Levi.
What do you do for a living, Levi?
I move furniture.
Did you graduate from high school?
No, ma'am.
No. Did you graduate from high school?
Yes.
When?
Last year.
You have a cell phone?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a computer?
No, ma'am.
You know how to use a computer?
No, ma'am.
I don't either. It's okay. I'm just trying to figure out how clever you are with electronics, because that's Mr. Altman's defense. So when these 5 kings came up, you said, I won.
Yes.
And I understand that because of legalities, they can't pay you in cash, they pay you in Walmart cards.
Yes.
How much were you supposed to have won?
$1,358.12.
So why didn't somebody pay him, Mr. Altman?
Well, for the first reason, well, I wasn't down there.
You don't have to be down there. You have a business.
Right. When they called me at home and told me that a man had won the jackpot, I told him to tell him to come back at noon tomorrow and he'll get paid.
Why did you do that?
Because I assumed that he had won a legitimate jackpot.
Why didn't you go down there that day?
I did go down there. An hour or so later, I did go down there.
Just a second. Why didn't you go down there to pay him? If your employees don't have the authority to pay a jackpot.
It's not only that they don't have the authority, but we normally don't keep that kind of money on hand in the evening. A Walmart will only allow us to buy $500 worth of cards a day.
How much money did you pay out on July 26th, sir?
I don't know how much offhand, but more than the $1,300.
Really?
Really.
You mean most people win when they come to your business?
Well, a lot of them do.
I want to know why you didn't go down there immediately to pay this man. What kind of gambling establishment says come back the next day for your winnings? Shh.
Well,
I never heard of such a ridiculous business.
if you don't have the cards on hand,
You have to have the cards on hand if you offer a jackpot.
well,
I mean, I just came back from Las Vegas. Can
Right.
imagine if I put money in a machine and it came out that I won $5,000. And Mr. Wynn said to me, come back next week. I'm going to get some money together and pay you your money. You know how long you'd be in business? An hour.
and I guarantee you that if he thought you cheated him,
How would you
It
know
would
on the
be a whole
telephone? Hey,
different
Mr.
story.
Waldman, that's nonsense. How would you know on the telephone that somebody cheated you?
I didn't know on the
Then you should have
telephone.
gotten your rear end down to your business and paid him that day or gone down to investigate that day. You don't say to your customer, come back tomorrow. That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. Does that sound ridiculous to you? You ever go to a casino where they told you to come back tomorrow to get paid?
No.
Well, I'm asking you. I mean, you're going to be 50 soon, and I assume that you've been to
Thanks.
casinos. I think what I would
Tell everybody, right?
Now, so I assume you've been to a casino
I've been to a
more than
casino
one
or
or
two,
twice. Did you ever win a jackpot?
No.
Ever win a little jackpot?
Not really.
Well, I would stay away from casinos if I were you. Have you ever been next to anybody that won a jackpot?
I was next to somebody who wanted to
Oh, good. Have you ever heard of somebody saying to them, come back the next day to be paid?
I have never heard of it, Judge.
And neither have I, Mr. Altman. And especially since you say to me, I have to find out whether he's cheating or not. It would seem to me the best way to find out if somebody cheated you is to go down there that moment and look at the machine that moment, not the next day. Now,
Unfortunately, when they called me, I had no idea who it was or whether or not they was cheating.
Mr. Waldman, you sound ridiculous.
I only knew that when I went down there.
Ridiculous.
Well, I'm sorry about
You
that,
sound,
Judge.
Mr. Waldman, ridiculous.
I'm
because
sorry about
you
that.
went down there an hour later, you say. So clearly you could get yourself down there within a relatively short
Absolutely.
period of time. Why did you tell him to come back the next day?
Because that's our policy to come back the
Baloney.
next day.
Baloney. That's baloney. Had nothing to do with I didn't have enough cash on hand. You're making up excuses as you're going. I want to see whether he was cheating or not. Now, you prove to me, in a way that I'm going to understand it, put your hand down, that he cheated on that machine. Show me.
Machine has two sets of brains, one on the outside, one on the inside.
Two sets of
There's
brains.
the picture of the inside brains.
Go ahead.
And if you look at it on his particular game, it shows that he only won $212.84. Not only that, but the game above it showed the hopper jam. The game below it showed configuration error. That would only happen if somebody had messed up the brains
Well, how does somebody mess up the
with
brain?
their cell phones.
How does somebody mess up your game with your cell phone?
Well, when we flew in here last night, they announced all cell phones must be turned off
Well,
while
just
in
tell me.
flight.
Just tell me.
Because they will occasionally interfere with the electronics of the airplane, the hospitals, the games.
Mr. Altman, I just came from Las Vegas, my friend, and sat at those slot machines, those quarter slot machines, and talked to my friends on the cell phone. And nobody in the Wynn, the Bellagio, any casino that I've ever been in Las Vegas says you can't use your cell phones because you can jam the machines because slot machines have two brains. Your slot machines have two brains. Mr. Ellison only has one.
Right.
So far, you have convinced me of nothing except that you don't want to pay for this jackpot. That's the only thing you've convinced me of.
I've paid plenty of jackpots that had nothing to do with the money. Nothing whatsoever.
You owe him the money, Mr. Altman, and if you don't like the casino business, get out of it. I would have a lot more respect for you if you said, well, my manager called me and said somebody won a jackpot. First of all, that shouldn't have been a revelation requiring a telephone call to you. People win jackpots. That happens. And if they won a jackpot, you should have said he won the jackpot. Please pay him. And if you said he didn't have enough cash or enough cards to pay him, which is another lame excuse that you gave me, you say, well, give him what you have and tell him to come back the next day. You didn't say that at all. You said, I'm not coming down. You did manage to go down an hour later because he threatened to call the police. So you went down an hour later. When you got down an hour, and he did call the police. And when you got down an hour later, then you said to them he cheated.
And it's obvious that you don't have a clue what's going on in the casino business in Texas. It's
well, Mr. Altman, if the heat in the kitchen is too hot for you, sir, don't be in the casino business.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
explain to me, sir, this $8,000 outlay of money.
Stacy had called me right before October, I believe in...
Listen to me.
Yes.
I'm not interested in your social history. Just get to the car.
Timothy Ellison says casino owner Bobby Altman refuses to pay up on a jackpot. Bobby claims that Timothy rigged the machine.
Now, Mr. Altman, if you're in the casino business, sir, you got to do it right. And you have to make it appear as if you're doing it right, which is if somebody ostensibly wins a jackpot in one of your casinos, and if you have a policy that they can't pay unless you're there, then you get yourself there. You don't tell the winner of a jackpot, you come back the next day. When? You've got control over the machine in that 24-hour period. Who knows what you could have done to the machine? Why would he leave his jackpot? Say, I'm not leaving this machine. I'm standing right here. If I'm not here, my husband's here. Mr. Altman, you did the wrong thing. You owe him $1,358. You pay him. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, man, he's just a scam artist. That's what he does for a living.
He's a local dopehead and local thug out there.
If I was a dopehead, I wouldn't go in there and spend $1,000 in that casino.
We'll never go to that casino again.
No, he's not allowed back in my casino.
Oh, I ain't worried about it.
No, his days are done there with me.
He still loves Judge Judy.
I watch her every day in the house for years and years and years.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Russell versus Russell. Step forward.
Stacy Russell is suing her ex-husband, Glenn Russell, for an unpaid loan to buy a 2000 Land Rover.
Mr. Russell, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were married, divorced. Sometime after the divorce, Mr. Russell moved back in with you. According to you, he moved in just to sort of help out financially and be closer to the boys. You have 2 boys together, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to Mr. Russell, you moved back in together with the expectation of trying to put your family back together.
Yes, Your Honor.
Be that as it may, subsequent to the divorce and while you were living together in this manner, you claim that you loaned him $8,000 in order for him to purchase a car. Several months after he did purchase the car, which was titled in his name, the 2 of you separated, things didn't work out, and you want your money back. Mr. Russell says there was never any expectation that you would be getting this money back. Yes. You were living together as a family at that point, and there was never any loan agreement.
That's wrong, Your Honor.
When did you advance him this money for the car?
January 18th, 2007.
I'd like to see the proof of that, please.
Yes, Your Honor. I have a canceled check, and I also have a transaction history from my mortgage company where the money came from. This was a loan, Your Honor. This was not a gift.
That's why we're here. That's something that I'm going to make a decision about. What were the terms of the repayment in January of 2007?
That Glenn would pay me $200 a month until the entire $8,000 was paid off.
When did he make his first payment?
He never made a payment, Your Honor.
When did he move out?
He moved out in March of 2007.
Well, what did you do when he didn't make the first payment in February?
He just gave me some excuses as why he didn't make it, and he was having financial trouble. He said, don't worry, you'll get your money. And then March came, he suddenly moved out. I found out from our youngest son that he just moved out without a word.
When did you sue him?
I pursued suing him after I moved our family to California.
Why didn't you pursue suing him before you moved out to California?
I don't know, Your Honor. Glenn hardly even pays child support. I only get $100 every 2 weeks for both of our children. I certainly wouldn't loan him
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
you acknowledge that your former wife paid for this car. Was the entire amount of the car $8,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you buy the car from?
From a private individual, Mr.
Did you make a check payable to him?
No, Your Honor. It was cash.
You have a bill of sale from Mr.
No, Your Honor. I did not bring the bill of sale with me. I do have the title, but nothing here that says the actual sale price of the vehicle.
What kind of car was it?
It's a 2000 Land Rover, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Russell, explain to me, sir, your version of this $8,000 outlay of money for your car.
Okay. Stacy had called me right before October, I believe in...
Listen to me.
Yes.
I'm not interested in your social history. Just get to the car.
She gave me the money for...
Just tell me how that came about.
I had mentioned to Stacy that I needed a new vehicle for my business. I am in the flooring sales business, and I do go to people's homes. And at the time, I was driving a 1996 Cadillac, which is pretty beat up, in need of major work. And I had done some research on the internet, found this vehicle, mentioned to her I would like to have this, and she knew that I didn't have the money to afford this, so she gave me the money to buy this vehicle.
She has two children that she's supporting.
Yes.
You indicated that you have a 16-year-old son and you were going to give your old car to your son.
Yes.
Did you do that?
No, Your Honor.
Good. You're going to sign the title over to your former wife, sir. Then she's going to make arrangements to come and get it. Have him sign over the title to the car. Then it's your car. Now, Mr. Russell, now what you're going to do is you're going to retrieve your car and sell it, and hopefully you will be able to recoup the entire amount of money that he owes you. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Very good. Sir, you don't take money from the mother of your children who's supporting your children when you're contributing. I'm speaking. When you're contributing $100 every 2 weeks for the support of your children, you don't take $8,000 from her. Did you sign it?
It's small. I have to read this.
Read it carefully while I'm sitting here and sign where you're supposed to. We'll fill in the blanks, sir. You just sign your name. Good. Now she gets the title after Bird looks at it. Thank you very much. Now you can go buy yourself a car, sir. Save your own money. Save it from the child support you don't pay. That's all.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Ms. Blanco, Mr. Trujillo was your boyfriend.
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that he co-signed for a car for you.
Yes.
The car was titled in his name?
And mine.
But he was on the loan?
Yes.
You couldn't get credit?
Both of us were on the loan.
But you couldn't get credit yourself?
Yes.
You broke up. And the agreement, when he agreed to co-sign for you, from what I understand, was as follows. He would co-sign for you, and you would make regular payments on the car, timely, that you would maintain insurance on the car, that you would pay for his cell phone, maintain his cell phone. Anything else, sir?
Medical insurance.
And keep him on your medical insurance, pay for his medical insurance.
Yes.
That was in exchange for him obligating himself on the car loan. You broke up. According to Mr. Trujillo, you were late in many of your car payments, which damaged his credit.
Yes.
In addition, although he doesn't say it, you do, you canceled his cell phone and canceled his medical insurance.
In January of '07, yes. This year.
Whatever. You canceled his medical insurance. There was no time limit on this contract.
It wasn't really an agreement that I was going to pay his cell phone insurance. It was more of a blackmail, and I have emails to prove that.
What do you mean? Just a second. I'll see you in a second. But it's my understanding, even from you, in your complaint, that we came to an agreement, this is what you swore to, that he would co-sign my car for me, and I would pay for his cell phone plan along with adding him to my medical insurance. That's what you say.
Yes.
So you canceled his cell phone and you canceled his medical insurance. You fell behind in your car payments, and he repossessed the car and turned it back in. Mm-hmm. Is that what you did with it, or are you driving it?
I currently have the car.
You currently have the car, and
Yes.
you've made up the car payments.
Right, I write it up to date.
You want all the money that you put into the car.
Not necessarily all the money, the down payment that I put into and the payments, some of the payments that I did, and for insurance and the cell phone bill that I did remove them from it, but it wasn't really an agreement. And I have emails that show that it was more of, if I take them off, that the car deal would be done and deal with.
Well, that's true. You know, you don't understand, Miss Blanco. If you made that agreement with him when he co-signed for the car for you, which is what you say in your complaint, and you subsequently break up. So you get the dates. When did you break up?
In September of '06.
And when was the car purchased?
July 22nd of '06.
And when did you take him off the cell phone?
The cell phone, I took him off in this February of '07.
And when did you cut him off of your health insurance?
They didn't cancel that until August 31st of this year, after he took the vehicle and everything.
When did you cancel him from the health insurance? Not when they took him off. When did you cancel
When
him?
I told him June of this year.
June?
Of 07.
And he repossessed the car?
June 10th.
Which he lied about repoing the car. He did not tell me anything.
He doesn't have to tell you anything. How many times were you late on car payments?
4 times. But I have proof from VW that I called them, everything, we stayed in touch.
I don't care whether you stayed in touch. What does that mean, Ms. Blanco, that you stayed in touch?
Because they cut my hours from work. It was very unexpected. On March 10th, we had a meeting and they told us, hey, we're cutting hours by Monday. I went from working 40-plus hours to 32 hours. There was no way I could come up with the money. I was trying my hardest to get a second job, and Renee knew about this. He knew that I was trying to get a second job. I kept in touch with him every single time. I said, hey, I only paid $110 this time. We're going to do it.
Ms. Blanco, you have to be a grown-up, sweetheart.
I was
Listen
now.
to me. You can't visit your problems on him. The fact that you were working with Volkswagen and they don't want your old car back, they want to work with you as long as they're going to get their money, right? That's one thing. That doesn't mean it's not reported to his credit as the co-signer. The fact that you lost hours impacted on him.
He
you
knew
understand that.
I understand
That's his
that.
complaint, because he has a counterclaim. He says you ruined his credit because for 4 times, and I don't care if it was 4 times or 3 times or 2 times, if you don't make your car payment on time, the people who were responsible on that loan are going to be penalized. That was him. He has an absolute right to repossess the car for that alone. In addition to the fact that you had a contract with him, a verbal contract, he would obligate himself on the car if you would maintain him on his cell phone and your insurance. Well, after a while, you're not his girlfriend anymore. You say, I'm going to cancel that cell phone. I don't want to pay for a cell phone where he's calling other people, and I don't want to pay for his health insurance anymore. I'm canceling it.
It wasn't out of a malicious act to
It doesn't have to be
remove him.
It doesn't have to be malicious. That was your contract with him.
But it wasn't a contract.
Yes, it was. That's what you said. You
I
said
have
it
emails
was an
from him.
agreement. We came to an agreement that he would co-sign my car for me and I would pay for his cell phone along with adding him to my health insurance. You want me to see what you signed?
I know. I circled that agreement part. It wasn't...
That's what you signed.
I know.
That's what you swore to.
It wasn't an
That's what
agreement.
you said happened. That's what he says happened. You
It
may not
wasn't
want to
a-
revisit that now.
Your Honor, there's an email here that shows the only reason I kept that
I want to look at the
going
email.
was because
she
of
doesn't
this.
understand that the email is going to support exactly what I said. Yeah, he says to you, you keep me on your insurance and your cell phone plan, and we'll keep the same car deal. That's what he says.
But it wasn't the car deal. The reason why it says car deal is because when we first signed up for the car, we signed up on July 22nd. A couple days after that, the guy that we did the car loan with called us in and said, hey, we have a better interest rate for you. If you come in, we could redo the contract. So I got sick a couple days after that, so we couldn't go right away. I had surgery, everything was fine. We went back and redid the contract, but before we redid the contract, we got into an argument, and I said, you know what, we have to take this out of my name, or out of your name, put it into my own name, now that, this is not how it's supposed to be. And in that email it says,
Ms. Blanco, was the car in both your names?
Yes.
Was the loan in both your names?
Yes.
Do you have proof, sir, that your credit score went from one thing to another?
I do.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. This is the before and the after with the credit scores highlighted.
I have the proof of, or not proof, but when we first co-signed the car, they did a credit check on us, and I have the credit score that they gave us on his and
Not
mine.
us, him.
And mine. Both of ours.
Just his.
Oh, you want
What was his?
His was 776.
Now it's 630. You know, when you walk out of the showroom, the car is diminished by 20%?
Yes.
So he had to take over a car that was now worth 20% less because you ruined his credit, in addition to cutting off his cell phone and insurance. Forget that. So you don't get anything for that, Ms. Blanco? Nothing. You should have kept up your end of the deal. If you
It wasn't an agreement. I know that says in its agreement, but when we were signing it upstairs, I circled it and said it wasn't really an agreement.
Whether it was or it was not, you cannot ruin the co-signatory's credit rating because you had a problem with your job. That's not his problem.
He knew that, and we were trying. We
Listen to
both
me.
wanted to make payments on it, but they didn't take credit card.
All
And
right.
I
Listen,
tried
Ms.
my hardest
Blanco,
to get a
stop
second job.
crying. Did you buy a new car?
No, I have not.
Why not?
I'm saving up for it.
Good. That's what you
Because I
should have
don't
done.
want payments.
That's what you should have done.
And
at
that's
the
what we
beginning.
wanted to do, and I wanted to do, and I have proof that I tried my hardest to get my car to pass smog so that I didn't have to get a new car. Chucky was also there as when I was searching for a new car. I did not want payments whatsoever, and he convinced me to get a new car and get
Listen,
payments.
You are a very strong young lady, and you don't seem to me like somebody who's shy. You got into difficulty. He had a right to take back the car.
Not the way he did, though.
Listen.
I was at work, Your Honor.
I'm not saying he was Prince Charming. He had a right to take back the car.
But I was at work, Your Honor, when he came and I had lunch with my boss and he just took the car. He did not warn me. After lying about having the spare key.
I'm not the moral police, Ms. Blanco. I'm here to decide a legal issue. The legal issue is, did he have the right to take the car? Absolutely. Did he have the right to sell the car? Absolutely. Does
But
he
he
have the
has
right
not.
to keep the car and make the payments? Absolutely. That is his prerogative because you ruined his credit. You have no right to do that. You have to be a big grown-up girl and not say, because I lost my job, I had surgery, I had other things that happened to me, and I this and I have that. It's not my fault. He took the car the way I was having lunch with my boss. He didn't give me notice. You breached the contract to make the payments in a timely manner. May not have been of your own volition. It may have been because, I don't know, the sky was falling and henny penny and whatever other reason it was, but that can't impact on him. He's not your boyfriend anymore. He's not your boyfriend. He's not your father. He's not your brother. He has no moral obligation to you whatsoever. Now, you're driving the car, sir?
No, it's currently garaged at my mother's house.
Why?
Because I have nowhere to put it. I go to San Francisco State, and I have no
Well,
garage.
who's going to drive the car?
My mom's driving it right now.
Oh, your mom's driving it. Good. So you have a nice car, right?
Right.
Good. So what are you complaining about?
By the time I sell the car to my supervisor here, I will have lost $5,000.
Well, you should have sold it to her sooner.
She doesn't have.
You
She's going
showed
to apply
it-
for a loan.
You should have sold it to her sooner. That's not her problem. That's your problem.
Okay.
You took back the car. Car is in good running order.
Yes.
And now you're paying for it, and you're going to sell it to somebody else.
To her.
And right now your mother's driving it.
Right.
Very nice. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Okay.
So is your claim. You're not entitled to any money back. That's all. Thank you. Easy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, as the Judge Judy said, she needs to grow up,
He's got a lot of issues to take care of, a lot of them,
be an adult about things, and pay her bills on time.
before he gets into a relationship like this again.
Lesson learned. Don't sign for anybody.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kruger versus Perks. Step forward.
Carolyn Kruger is suing her brother, Kevin Perks, for his share of their mother's funeral. Carolyn says Kevin is the only sibling who refuses to pay.
Miss Kruger, Mr. Perks is your brother.
Yes, he is.
And your claim is that he is responsible for a portion of your mother's funeral expenses.
That's correct.
Mr. Perks says he is not responsible for any portion of your mother's funeral expenses. When did your mother pass away?
April 22nd, 2007.
And it is my understanding that her primary asset was a life insurance policy. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Did she have any other assets other than this life insurance policy?
She had a few $100s in a bank account that I used to pay for the nursing home.
Other than the life insurance policy, did she have a home? Did she have a car?
No.
Did she have bonds? Anything else?
No.
Life insurance policy?
Yes.
And how much was the life insurance policy?
I don't know the total amount. We each got a portion of it. It was $2,082.74 a piece times 8, so a little over $17,000.
And she had been paying on this life insurance policy. I assume it was from work? Or...
Correct. It came out of her pension.
So it was a pension?
Right.
And it is also my understanding from your complaint that there was no named beneficiary on the policy.
That's correct.
So far, are we correct on that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So, only asset is a $17,000 life insurance policy, correct?
Yes.
You have 7 siblings.
That's correct.
Correct. Your mother did not have a will.
No, she did not.
So you decided, I assume, that you had been taking care of her business?
Correct.
You didn't object to that?
I didn't object. I didn't know I was objecting to because she never consulted me on anything.
When you went to visit her, did you take charge of her medical care, of overseeing her stay in the nursing home? Did you take care of her other business, or did you just go and visit her?
I just went and visited her.
So you knew somebody had to be taking care of that.
That is correct.
And who did you think was taking care of that business?
Carolyn.
There we go. And you didn't object to that.
No, I did not.
Perfect. Now, you did receive a portion of this life insurance, did you not?
That is correct.
How much did you receive?
$2,076 and some change. I don't know the exact amount.
When your mother passed away in April of 2007, did she pass away in the same town where you live?
Yes.
Did you go to the funeral?
Yes.
Did you put on a suit?
Yes.
You married?
Fiance.
Did your fiance go with you?
Yes, she did.
Do you have children?
Yes, we do.
Did you bring your children to the funeral?
Yes.
So they went to their grandmother's funeral.
Yes.
Were there flowers at the funeral?
Yes.
Was there a grave site that you went to?
Yes.
Did you ever stop to say to yourself, who's paying for this? Mr. Parks,
No.
did you ever stop to say to yourself, who's paying for this?
Yes.
Did you think the burial fairy was paying for it?
No.
No. So you knew that somebody had to be paying for it.
That's correct.
And who did you think? Put your hand down. Who'd you think that was?
The life insurance policy.
Right. Look how smart you are. You thought that her life insurance policy was paying for it, right?
That's correct.
Put your hand down. It did. All your brothers and sisters kicked in from the life insurance policy to pay for the funeral, except you. That's what the case is all about. Now, your sister could very easily have said, I am going to take all the proceeds of this life insurance policy, and I'm going to pay the $6,000 for Mom's funeral, and whatever is left over, I'm going to give it to my brothers and sisters. Right?
That's correct.
Well, that's what you thought happened. Instead, your sister decided to do what she considered the right thing, which was name each of you as a beneficiary on the life insurance policy. You all got your money, and everybody divided the $6,000 or whatever it was for the funeral and sent her a check for their portion. Go!
Well, Your Honor, the life insurance policy, normally most life insurance policy, they have a provision, or the funeral home has an agreement where you can have a form filled out to have the life insurance policy paid for it, the funeral expense itself. She never told me about this expense whatsoever. A week after I got the check, I never heard anything from her, never agreed to it, never paid anything. She didn't consult me about it, nothing.
So? And your point would be?
I should have been consulted further on...
I'm consulting you right now. I'm consulting you. Who's supposed to pay for your mother's funeral? Not you. You have no legal obligation to pay for your mother's funeral. None. But you have no right to accept full proceeds of a life insurance policy, which by law is supposed to pay for her funeral expenses before it's dispersed to any beneficiary. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. So it was done a little bit backwards. Instead of taking the money out and then put your hand down. Does it sound like you're losing?
No, I'm sorry.
So instead of taking the $6,000 out and paying for the policy and then distributing it to you, she distributed it to the siblings and then says, okay, brothers and sisters, now send me a check. It's the same thing. Do you understand?
Yes.
You don't have to be consulted about that, sir. This one wants to say something.
During the funeral and everything that was at the funeral, as far as the casket, the flowers, anything, Kevin was not allowed or invited to pick any of that stuff out.
Was he invited to pick out who the nurses were going to be at his mother?
Your Honor.
Pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Was he consulted, and did he make himself responsible for his mother's care in the nursing home where she was?
He had no choice.
Of course he had a choice. Did he have a choice to pick you?
Yes.
Then he had a choice to pick where his mother went and who took care of her and participating in her care. He chose not to do that. Just as he chose, madam, listen to me very carefully, he chose to let somebody else take the responsibility for picking out a casket, for picking out flowers. It was not as if he wasn't invited to the funeral. He went with you and his children. He just made himself dumb, which I have a feeling isn't much of a stretch. You owe your sister your share of your mother's funeral. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. How much was it?
$750.
Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. Yeah, it's case number 308 on the calendar in the matter of Dew versus Dew. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ladies.
Mr. Dew, this is your former wife and this is your mother. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And according to the complaint that I read, you were in an automobile accident?
A dirt bike accident last year.
Dirt bike.
Yeah.
And you were severely injured.
Yeah.
After you were injured, you went to live in your mother's home.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Now I'm 21 now.
It is your complaint and your father's complaint that your mother received certain government disability checks for you.
Yes.
And it is your complaint and your father's complaint that she didn't use those checks for your benefit.
No, she didn't.
So you want the money back from her.
Yes, I do.
When did you go to live with your mother?
I went in December when I came from the hospital.
December 1st.
December 1st.
And where had you been living before that?
With my dad.
After the hospital, why didn't you go back to your father?
My dad works a lot, and I needed constant care, so I couldn't stand up and walk yet. So
you needed somebody to take care of you?
Yeah, because I couldn't go back. I wear a diaper because I couldn't walk, stand up to go to the bathroom.
So you needed somebody to take
Yeah.
full-time
I
care of you?
I needed a contractor here. I need a 24-hour caregiver every day.
And when did you leave your mother's house?
And like June 8th or June 10th.
So you stayed with your mother for 6 months.
Yeah.
Mrs. Dew, when did you start receiving checks for your son?
November, we received a $50 check. While he was in the hospital, Social Security doesn't give you but $50.
And when was the next check that you got?
In December.
In what amount?
$1,500.
Who was taking care of him in December?
I was, 24 hours a day.
Did you have any nursing care for him?
No, I took time off work.
These your 2 daughters?
Yes.
Do they live at home with you?
Yes.
These are your sisters?
Yes.
Did they also help take care of you?
A little bit, yes. Just a little bit, though.
And what about in January?
I took care of him until I returned back to work with January 7th, and then I paid a babysitter to come in.
And how much did you pay her?
$200 a week.
Okay. And how long did that last?
Till the middle of April, when he started becoming violent. She just said she couldn't do it anymore.
What did you do in April?
Well, she stayed with me until actually the 1st of May, but in April she had told me she couldn't do it anymore.
Yes.
Can we say that?
Yeah.
I was in high school with my senior year, and I was taking time out of school to take care of him because he'd call me at school and have me come home.
This was in April?
All through December. Throughout the whole time, I would leave school, and my counselor said you can call him and he'll tell you.
It started when that you
In
were going
December, I was getting phone calls during my classes and having to leave my classes to help my mom go take care of him or go in and getting her diapers because she had ran out of diapers and she couldn't leave him at home by himself.
Okay. What did you do in May?
By May, he was doing pretty well. He could stay 4 hours, that he would be by himself. But aside from that, somebody else would be with him. Either I could be with him or my daughters would be with him.
Okay. Now, you got $1,500 a month in December. Did that amount remain the same until he left?
No. That was the only big check that I got. After that, I received $756 a month.
$756 a month?
Right, for January. And then in February, we started receiving $856 a month.
Okay. And did that continue?
And we got that until May 1st. May 1st, we didn't get a check.
Did you get a check for May eventually?
No. In May is when we were cut off. They sent us a check for $139 and said that I had not filled out some paperwork correctly. We had been battling between disability and Social Security from the time that I signed him up because apparently in the state of California you're supposed to exhaust disability before you get Social Security.
Okay.
I would have no way of knowing that. I'd never been through this
Fine.
before.
All right. Now, Mr. Dew,
Yes.
why don't you sit down?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think your former wife owes you?
It's not what she owes me, it's what she owes him.
What do you think she owes him?
I think she owes him $4,899.86.
Based on what?
Because she drew Social Security and disability at the same time. Do you want it?
And?
And he has hospital bills that were never paid.
She can't pay the hospital bills out of what they sent her?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? If she's receiving $856 a month for the month of February, and in January she received $756 a month, that doesn't cover the expenses for your son, sir. That's
No.
not supposed, I'm speaking, that's not supposed to cover his hospital bills. That's supposed to cover his care.
Okay, I understand that. She collected the $800.56 at the same time collecting disability at the same time for the same months. She collected Social Security.
Just a second. Your former wife says that in the month of December she received a check for $1,500 for the month of December. Month of January she received $756. In the month of February she received $856, and according to her, she then received the same $856 for March and April, $856. Do you have any information to the contrary, Mr.
Yes.
Dew?
Disability.
Sure. Tell me what she received for him according to your records.
According
Tell me
to-
what she received in December.
In December, she received $666 from 12/15 to 12/20.
No, the whole month of December, she says she got $1,500. You have any information to the contrary?
that's the two added together. He gets paid every 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. She received $1,500 in December.
In December, plus
That's what
she received from Social Security $836
In the month of December?
in the month of December.
Oh, let me see.
There you go.
Your Honor, I
Disability.
never received disability, ever. I never got a check from disability, only Social Security.
Just a second.
Those are
Hold
payouts.
on a second.
Show me the check.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How many times did you go over there a day to take care of him? How many times did you do that? Not once.
Never.
I guarantee you, not once.
And later today,
How many bills did she pay for you?
About $800 worth.
Well, both you and your wife work. Why would you allow anybody to pay bills for you?
Shane Dew says ex-wife Michael Dew owes for the return of disability money meant for their son.
When did he come to live with you?
December 1st
Of 06.
of 06.
Just a second. Mr. Dew, according to this letter, that your state disability of $1,332 beginning October of 2006,
That's right.
when your son says he was living with you, caused you to be overpaid by SSI.
No, ma'am. He was in the hospital.
Oh, listen to me.
I know.
Listen to me.
I'm trying
Just
to-
listen to me carefully, sir.
Okay.
According to your son, he lived with you until he went home with his mother. His mother says, I never got a check for $1,332.
No, never.
That's what his mother says. Now, if he lived with you, which is what he says, there was no reason for, in October, them to send any check to her at her address.
Okay.
So unless, listen to me carefully,
Okay.
Mr. Dew, unless you have a canceled check
Thank you.
by her with her endorsement from October, you don't ascribe that to her. He didn't live with her in October. He lived with you.
Excuse me. Can I say something now?
Sure.
In October, he was in the hospital. He was in the hospital
Listen
for
to
3
me.
months.
You're not following me, sir. When he entered the hospital, whose address did he give when you signed him into the hospital?
I didn't sign him in. I went to the hospital, but he did live with me.
Then your address would be on there when he went to the hospital in September. So any check that he would be getting would automatically not go to his mother's address in October, because that's an October overpayment.
Right.
It would go to someplace else.
Right.
I'm not ascribing that to you, but it certainly didn't go to her.
Right.
Certainly, no question. And unless, Mr. Dew, unless you have a canceled check with his mother's name on it, having received this money in October, you can't claim that she got it.
Judge, how am I supposed to have a canceled check? She filled out his disability.
You get it
forms.
from Social Security, sir.
I went to Social Security.
You get the canceled check from Social Security.
They wouldn't give me the canceled check.
Well, that's not my problem.
Okay.
What I find absolutely outrageous, quite frankly, Mr. Dew, on your part, and I see that your son may be a little challenged, is that when your son was released from the hospital, and clearly he still suffers the effects of his accident.
Yes, Your Honor.
There's no question he was an infant when he went
Yes.
home. Your former wife and his mother and his two sisters took care of him, ministered to him, changed his diapers,
Yes, ma'am.
fed him, took care of him, got babysitters to take care of him, gave up their life for 6 months when he was
Yes,
totally
ma'am.
incapacitated, and you have, the fact that your son may be challenged is something that should not be visited on your ex-wife or your two daughters. These are your daughters, aren't they?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
They shouldn't be visited on your ex-wife or your two daughters. Put your hand down. Should not be. So if your son has a problem, what you should try to do is speak to him, because $856 a month doesn't cover the responsibility that they undertook for your son, who was not a minor anymore. She took him in because she loved him. She gave up her job for a month. She rearranged children's work schedules so that he would be covered at all times.
Yes,
How
ma'am,
many
I did.
times did you go over there a day to take care of him?
I went over
Your
there.
Honor.
How many times a day? Shh. How many times a day, Mr. Dew, did you go over and say to your ex-wife, listen, I'm going to spell you for a weekend. I'm going to come over and stay with him for the weekend so that you and the girls can go away, because 6 months is a long time. How many times did you do that?
I was going over there every night. I did take him to my house. He will tell you.
I
himself.
asked you a question. How many times did you say to your ex-wife and your daughters, who were involved in his ongoing care for 6 months, listen, it's a real challenge for you. I'm going to come over so that all of you can take a couple of days, and I'm going to take care of him. And I'm asking you, sir, how many times did you do that? Not once.
Never.
I guarantee you, not once.
Not once.
Did you do that? Did you go over and say to your wife and your two daughters, who
Nope.
are standing right here, you go away for the weekend, I'm going to take charge. Not go over for a visit.
Nope. Never.
So then you have the audacity to sue her and claim that she neglected him. That's outrageous. Put your hand down, sir. Put your hand down. He may be challenged, but you're not. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you, Your
Out.
Honor.
That is our excuse. You may step out.
What happened to my son is very unfortunate,
He can't understand for himself. He doesn't think for himself.
and it took its toll on our family.
He just knows what everybody tells him.
I changed my whole life for him
It just hurts to know that he can't know better.
and took care of him and did what a mom should do.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Carrington versus Coelho. Step forward, please.
25-year-old Dina Carrington is suing her former friends, Jennifer and Daniel Coelho, for an unpaid loan to pay their bills. The defendants claim Dina insisted they take the money.
How old are you, Mr. Coelho?
26.
And you?
25.
How long have you been married?
2 years.
You have children?
No, ma'am.
You work?
Yes, ma'am.
For whom?
Allen Properties.
What do you do?
I'm a admin assistant.
How long have you worked for them?
8 months now.
Before that, where did you work?
ST Pacific.
And what about you, Mr. Coelho?
I work at House of Batteries.
What do you do?
I'm a shipping and receiving clerk.
How long have you worked there?
3 years.
How do you know the plaintiff?
I was a co-worker / friends with their husband.
And he passed away when?
January 5th, 2007.
Of what?
Heart failure.
Do you know what he passed away from?
I'd prefer not to discuss it. Thank you.
And according to you, Miss Carrington, when he passed away, you continued the friendship with the
Yes, I did.
defendants. And according to you, made a loan to them.
Yes, I did.
Because they came into some financially troublesome times.
That's true.
Asked you to sort of help them out in creating a budget for them.
Correct.
And they had gotten behind in some bills. You made a loan to them. You were friends.
Correct.
They didn't pay you back.
Correct.
Coelho say that you made these payments on your own. There was never an agreement to pay you back for these bills that you paid for them because it was a gift.
That's incorrect.
How many bills did she pay for you?
About $800 worth, approximately.
Well, both you and your wife work. Why would you allow anybody to pay bills for you?
It wasn't supposed to be paid. The whole agreement was that we were going to make a budget. So then we gave usernames and passwords so she could go online and check balances to our existing accounts.
Why did you need Miss Carrington to help you make a budget?
She works at a bank. I figured that she, if anybody, should be able to make a budget better than most people. So we asked her to help us make a budget.
Well, did she help you make a budget?
No.
No.
That's incorrect.
Did she help you make a budget? A budget
No,
is
ma'am.
not going online and looking to see where you're spending money. Budget is you sat around the table, you said, this is what I earn. What did you tell her you earned?
She never asked us.
Well, that's not making a budget. Budget, you start with, what do I have to spend? And then you say, what do I need to spend it on? That's making a budget. That's simplistic. So the first question, if somebody was making a budget for you, you would have ascertained how much you earn, because that would set the parameters of your budget. Doesn't that sound logical to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So I gave her usernames and passwords so she could go online and check out the balances on the existing accounts, you know, to give some kind of direction here. In the meantime, I was outside smoking periodically, doing things around the house. So was Jennifer, if I'm not mistaken. When it was all said and done, then she decided to tell us that instead of getting the balances, she just decided to pay them. Pay approximately $800 worth of bills.
And what did you say to her?
We asked her several times, how does she want to be repaid? And she said, don't worry about it. She doesn't want to be repaid. Just as long as we get financially caught up, that's what matters. She doesn't want to be repaid.
That's incorrect. We actually did make a budget. They have the grid on the computer with their monthly bills, their income, and I told them exactly what bills to pay with what paychecks, and I did it all the way for the next month in advance. And Daniel had actually gone to sleep and wasn't in the room, and Jennifer was sitting next to me the entire time we were doing it. So she wasn't not there. She was there the entire time, and she started crying and said that she didn't know how to pay me back, and I told her not to worry about it right now, that they can pay me when they get their settlement from their lawsuit. She said that she would, and then when the conversation continued to go.
Got it. What lawsuit did you have?
My husband was hit by a car walking across the street.
Was that lawsuit settled?
No, ma'am.
What stage is it in?
It's undetermined right now. They
When
said
was
give
it that you were hit by a car?
February 28th of 2006.
Were you hospitalized?
Briefly.
How briefly?
1 day.
So you agreed to wait, Miss Carrington, until they got their money from their settlement?
That's correct.
They didn't get money from a settlement?
No, they didn't, but they also stopped talking to me for over a month.
Well, that may be, Miss Carrington, but let me explain the contract, that if I believe you, and I tend to believe you, because I tend to believe people who are good-natured as opposed to people who can't get themselves arrested. You made an agreement with them that you would cover these bills and that they could pay you back, and the condition of paying you back was them getting a settlement.
Correct.
What is the name of your attorney?
John.
Spell the last name. Fine. What's his phone number?
Area code 213-6.
We will prepare an order, Mr. Coelho, directed to your attorney that should this matter either be resolved by way of a judgment or settlement, the first $800 after he takes his fee goes to the plaintiff, right? Perfect. Do you understand that was your contract?
I do, ma'am.
That was your contract. You are absolutely entitled to your money back if this lawsuit settles. So I will prepare that order.
Okay.
And I will sign it, give you a copy. You could give it to Mr., if that is in fact his name.
Okay.
And Mr. will have to advise you or me when this matter settles.
Okay.
Because the first $800 is yours.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What?
Just out of curiosity, the whole settlement thing never got brought up.
I believe it did. I believe you were sleeping. And I believe your wife didn't say anything to you.
Okay, that's fine.
So?
That's fine, but it never got brought up. That's what I'm telling you.
What do you mean
It got
never
brought up after the fact, ma'am, before we came here.
She was asked several times how we should pay her back, and all those several times she said that she didn't want to be paid back.
Mr. Coelho, let me ask you, do you think you're invoking any sympathy with me? These were your bills.
Well, she never asked us to pay them.
These were your bills. Your bills.
I never asked for the money,
These
though, ma'am.
were your bills.
Understand.
One way or another, those bills, I assume, unless you're deadbeats, and both of you work, so I assume you're not deadbeats, we're going to pay your bills. You're not out any money that you wouldn't be out anyway. Those were your responsibilities to take care of.
Right.
Do you understand? Stop sniveling. Now, has the lawsuit been settled?
No.
Good. And that's the order. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You should have known